Hey guys and welcome back to my channel. This is part 4 of What If Naruto Was in Teen Titans. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also go and support the author, link in description. Naruto and Ravager landed after clashing swords for the third time. Naruto looked at his shoulder and seen she had gotten a cut in this time, but only cutting the titanium cloth and the dragon skin, not making it through the plate of steel embedded in the dragon skin. He turned to her and Ravager smirked. You're very skilled, but you will never hit me with those moves. And here I thought, after all the hype, after all my research, you'd be a tougher opponent. Naruto hummed. She was skilled, very skilled, but he knew he was more skilled than this. Something was off, really off, he just needed to figure out what. He charged in again, and Ravager got ready. Naruto ducked in under and put a hand on the floor before twisting and swinging both legs up into Ravager, who stretched backwards and was in a crab walk stance, and when he got back on his feet when they came full circle, he tried to cut her feet from under her. It failed as she kicked off the ground and stood on her hands, her feet in the air. He didn't take the chance of her trying to catch him off guard with an unorthodox move, so he jumped back a few feet, and she had already pulled her legs down and stood straight, holding her swords casually. Naruto was confused. She knew his next move even without seeing it, as if she felt it was gonna happen. Was she truly that skilled and was holding back? If so, so was he. He gripped both his swords in his hands tighter. You're good, I'll give you that, but don't forget, I haven't even begun. Seeing as you're a dual katana wielder, and someone who thought they could tie me down with a bluff, I give you credit, but I did underestimate you at first. That won't happen again. Now, I will get faster, stronger, and use more of my skill to beat you with every passing second. Ravager huffed. You're going to use some of those powers, right? The fox cloak, are those jutsu? Naruto chuckled and grinned. Not at all. I'm going to only use my true hand-to-hand skills and nothing more. Naruto put one sword in front of him and the other to the side on its side, pointing to Ravager. You should know, I always hold back. And slowly show more. The day I have to show every single skill I have to beat an opponent, is the day I will start training in new skills and get even better. Ravager silently cursed. She knew he was better than he let on and all, but she wasn't a slouch. Her father could take Batman, and so could the man standing in front of her. She had to be skilled enough already to take on Naruto, and even better with her future vision. How wrong she was, but she would find that out soon. Naruto rushed in and thrust his back sword straight for her stomach. He knew he wouldn't really hit her, the cut he could have made would be non-lethal at best, but he also knew she was going to try to dodge it. Ravager saw the strike coming in fast and prepared, bringing her swords up in an X formation and stepped back a big step, catching Naruto's thrust in her swords and pushed the thrust away, and she also slid to the side a bit before using the right sword to keep Naruto's thrust away from her, and the left one swung under and up to cut into Naruto's armor again. Naruto saw this as her next move and blocked it with his other sword. Ravager used that other sword's block against her as a way to slash upwards and kick Naruto's thrusting sword up above her, freeing her other sword from blocking. Naruto may not have seen her being able to do that kind of move, but quickly compensated by using the front sword to quickly block her slash coming for his neck. He swung up hard and their swords clashed and both parried each other. Naruto tried to quickly slash down into her shoulder, knowing it had armor to withstand a slashing blow, but Ravager wasn't taking the chance and used both of her swords and swung up, blocking it and forcing it to the side and down. She jumped back fast as Naruto attempted to slice her in half with a quick step forward and slashing the back sword then forward sword in a single line sideways. Ravager put both her swords in front of her in an X block, and she huffed. She was breathing faster, but not tired, just the adrenaline of him able to counter her every strike after her own tries at countering his own strikes. He was actually better skilled than she first imagined. Naruto got back into his original stance, back sword to the side on its side pointing at her, and the front sword facing forward with a slant pointing towards her a little. Naruto took a deep breath. You're good. Really good. Almost too good. It seems impossible for you to be able to do what you do without knowing my moves before I even try them, because those last two strikes I tried to get you with were not planned. They were reactions. Ravager narrowed her eyes. He's sharp. Like they said, I know all too well, but it's a greater advantage to me if I keep my little secret just that. A secret. Either that, or I am just that good to know muscle definition to see you reacting and take a guess. Naruto narrowed his eyes too. Both of them focused. Naruto hummed. High-level fighters can always do that with precision, but still somewhat with a partial twitch of clumsy instincts to survive the next attack. No one is able to 100% accurately guess the next strike like that and move without some kind of opening. He knew there had to be more to this girl than meets the eye. All he had to do now was figure out what it was. He needed to observe every moment of her form and movement, find the key openings she would leave. He knew he was more skills, he knew he was faster, stronger, and she was pushing him back. Naruto wouldn't allow this to stop him from winning. Naruto thrust forward again, this time twisting and rolling his sword down and arching back up, where Ravager stepped to the side and blocked it with one sword and thrust forward at Naruto with the other. Naruto didn't care what that other sword was going to do to him, he just used all his strength and dashed forward, swinging with all his might. Ravager expected this, but she was shocked to actually be in the middle of the strike, as it slashed hard into her chest and blown her back. Her own sword, which had pierced into Naruto's armor and between the plates to cut into his shoulder under it, was pulled out as she was thrown back. Naruto just stayed still, keeping a sharp eye on her. Ravager hit the ground and gasped for air a bit before rolling on her side and coughing. The strike into her chest was hard, having compressed her chest inward and knocked the wind out of her, but thankfully her Kevlar and chainmail armor prevented anything further than the cloth on the outside being cut open. Ravager stood up, holding her chest as she coughed, recovering. Naruto stood straight. I put a little extra in that one. I hoped for it to hit, but I didn't expect you to get up again. You are a bit tougher than I first thought. Ravager smirked. I've got more than enough strength to take you on. See, just as you are skilled and have enhanced capabilities, I too have some greater abilities. Stronger bones than normal, tougher skin, better reflexes, enhanced speed, strength. I was trained by my father, and that makes me even greater than you. Ravager rushed in and Naruto didn't expect her to try and strike him again with that blow he just dealt her not 10 seconds ago. He tried to block, but it was with his wounded arm, and he grunted in pain, unable to bring up a total block, which caused him to witness her strike hitting home. Ravager, as she got up, was trying different scenarios in her head, witnessing each one until she found the best one to finally deal greater damage against him. She had rushed in and slashed for his harmed shoulder. Naruto's attempt to block fell short because of it, and she slashed through the armor, between the shoulder plate and bicep plate and cut into his shoulder even more, then ripped her sword back, slashing deeper into the bone. Naruto hissed and growled in pain and jumped back, grabbing hold of his shoulder. He glared at her as she jumped back and grabbed her other sword, getting ready. Naruto looked at his shoulder, seeing the blood starting to seep from the wounds. Naruto looked back at her. He actually smirked. Well, I severely underestimated you. Ravager, was it? You were the first one to use actual skill against me, and get a clean hit in, actually wounding me. I respect that. That does it. The gloves come off. Naruto tensed his entire body and raised both arms, ignoring the pain in his arm and got into stance once more. This shocked Ravager, seeing him ignore the pain, the blood gushing from his wound, and still willing to fight with all he had. She smirked as well, and because she only had a mask over her eyes, and not face, Naruto seen it. Doesn't matter either way, I will still win. Naruto rushed in this time, and this time, he wasn't about to break apart from their struggle until she was hurting. Naruto slashed hard down, and Ravager backed off and parried with one sword, and this was where she was not going to be able to risk any wasted movements. Naruto has swung up with the other with rapid succession after his first strike was parried, and Ravager was forced to use both her swords to block it and push to the side. Naruto evened out his sword's level with his chest and stepped forward fast, slashing with both swords at the same time. Ravager ducked under them, but her eyes widened as she seen the mistake she made and jumped hard back, skidding along the ground, as Naruto stopped his swift cross slash and leveled the swords with the sides of his body and slashed down to cut into her shoulders, but she had jumped back before his strike could land. Naruto seen this, seen her react before he even attempted to change direction, but didn't stop. He rushed forward after her and thrust both swords at her, but she quickly turned her body sideways in between them and tried to stab for his heart. Naruto seen this coming and twisted his body to the side, crossing his hands and wrists in order to block with his swords in the shape of an X and push the stabbing of Ravager's sword over his shoulder. Naruto slid his forward sword up closer to the hilt of Ravager's thrusting sword, and the back sword closer to the tip before twisting his body facing the same direction as her and stepping forward. Ravager had let go of her sword to allow Naruto to take it from her, and twisted around behind her, swiftly swinging her sword for Naruto's back. Naruto seen this and let her sword free from his swords holding it, and swung both down and behind him, blocking her strike fully. Ravager grabbed her sword that was falling that she let go of and tried to twist it and stab it into Naruto's heart. Naruto twisted and put his back to her as he dodged the thrust to his heart, and got close enough to grab her arm and with all his might, throw her forward. Ravager expected this and let him throw her, slashing hard and fast as she flipped in front of him and attempted to cut under his arms. Naruto had flipped back and got back into position, and Ravager did the same, both staring each other down. Naruto stood straight again. I see now. You aren't predicting my moves by looking at how I move. You're actually seeing what moves I make before I even use them. Ravager narrowed her eyes at him. How do you think that? It's impossible to see the future after all. You think I am not skilled enough to fight you equally? Naruto grinned. I've seen magic, alien energy shooting at me, someone who is half machine, a boy who can change into any animal on the planet. I don't think seeing the future is impossible. In fact, I think that's exactly what is going on. You're reacting to my moves before I even do them, such as when I crosscut and stopped mid-slash to swing down and cut your shoulders. Before I even stopped mid-strike, you had moved to jump backwards, when in a normal situation I was wide open to any attack. Ravager cursed and growled a little. You assume much, but that does not mean I am lower in skill than you are. Naruto chuckled. You misunderstand me. I fought Batman, and got a small bruise. You actually cut into my arm and drew blood. Twice even. You are very skilled, but your advantage of knowing the future is now out of the bag, and no longer going to be giving you the advantage over me. Ravager yelled as she rushed him, slashing down, then twisting around to slash down again with the other arm, both of which were blocked by only one of Naruto's swords, and Naruto soon slashed hard and fast, faster than she could predict, and cut into her chest plate again, this time pushing her back only a little. She held her chest a bit. Naruto stood still. You see, you know the white-haired guy, and the duck-haired little asshole, both of them have the same red-eye augmentation, the sharingan. Able to predict an opponent's next move 100% of the time by watching for any twitch of any muscle in the body. There is still human error, but I do have the ability to know what you will do now. Evening the field. Ravager looked surprised. You have that eye too. Naruto grinned. Yep, I stole it from this one guy who seemed to be a long-lost ancestor of the duck-haired guy. The white-haired man. Got it from a friend of his who was part of the same family with augmentation eyes as a birthday gift when the friend died. Now, get ready for punishment. 'Cause I'm just getting started. Naruto ran forward again, this time faster, which Ravager saw and jumped back, but Naruto seen this and reared his sword back, slashing at her legs. She pulled them back, but she cursed in midair as she landed and lost all balance. That gave Naruto a bigger advantage as he slid along the ground to trip her, but she kicked off the ground to dodge him, and cursed harder as she put both blades behind her back. Naruto slashed both his swords at her back, and because she blocked, she took no damage, but the force made her fly up and stall in midair. That was an even bigger disadvantage, as Naruto got up and jumped at her. She tried to turn and lessen the damage of the next blow, knowing she wasn't going to dodge or block this one. Naruto slashed under Ravager, and hit her back, hard, which made her spin in midair. He flipped to the ground and took a few steps back as he faced her. Ravager fell on her side and groaned. She slowly stood again and held her shoulder, which was hurt back from the slash earlier connecting along her shoulder blade on her back and her shoulder in general. Naruto pointed one sword at her. You're very skilled. After all that, my speed and skill increased another level, and using the sharingan, you still managed to block or dodge my attacks until that last strike. I applaud this, but I guarantee you this, you will not be able to for much longer. Before I attack again, I have one question to ask. Do you want me to either go the fastest I can as I am now, or build to that point? The former will make it quick, but the latter will make you suffer. Ravager narrowed her eyes and waited. What she waited for was a single moment where his moves would be unable to dodge her next strike enough to cleanly cut him once more, a vital area to make him stall just enough for her next barrage to start. She waited for 5 minutes, and not a single weakness in his breathing. Naruto was still, tense and ready yet relaxed and eager, narrowing his eyes. I believe you know what I am going to say now. But then again, how can you know if I won't say it? If I don't even think about saying it, how can you know I will ever say it at all? You may be able to predict my reactions, but here is a fatal flaw I found. If I act without acting, if I do or say something without doing or saying anything, you can't predict it. Am I correct? Ravager cursed, trying to predict what he was going to say. Just as he was talking, she figured it out. Naruto smirked. I see, so now you figure I would say it. I can see just how eager you are to know, so here it is. What is your answer? Because I will have to choose for you. Do I go slowly up in speed and skill and make you suffer, or do I go all the way and make it quick? She had no choice now. Either answer he does, and she knew his answer. He wasn't about to get cut again. She figured to hell with it, and went for it, bringing her a game until one of them was unable to fight anymore. Ravager raced forward, slashing at Naruto's feet. Naruto brought a foot up to keep her from getting a strike in and let it down again. She growled and slashed up hard with both swords, only for Naruto to twist and block with his own. She didn't stop, slashing back down the opposite way, but Naruto spun opposite as well, even coming back in on her and then slashing hard and fast, slamming into her shoulder. Ravager groaned as she was forced to take a knee, but she jumped through his legs as he stabbed both swords down into the ground where her shoulders would be. Ravager rolled onto her feet and jumped back hard, slashing fast for Naruto's back, but Naruto hard flipped up over them and slashed down into her stomach and forcing her back to the ground, and he landed, one foot between her legs, the other behind him. Naruto rose both swords up, and Ravager pulled both feet up and kicked hard up, but Naruto blocked them both with his front leg, and slashed hard down. Ravager was hit hard in both shoulders as Naruto swung the blocking foot to kick her legs from kicking him. Ravager looked horrified as Naruto was suddenly lightning fast and stabbed both swords into our hands, pinning her as he put a foot against her chest. Naruto leaned down a bit. Now, before I knock you out, you are going to tell me why you have such a grudge against the Titans. Normal villains only want to make trouble, which usually leads the good guys to them in the first place, but you are actively trying to provoke them. Ravager growled. It does not concern you. Arg. Naruto stepped harder on her chest. It's none of your business, so don't even try to wring it out of me. Guh. Naruto pressed harder before lightening up on the pressing. You threaten me and my friends, you try to control me, and you have those assholes that you were working with work with you and try to kill me for not accepting to do your bidding. I think I have the right to know why. Now, you will talk, even if I have to pull out my greatest interrogation weapon. Ravager snarled. Nothing you do will make me talk. And even if what you say is true, it's my grudge, not yours. Naruto sighed. You force my hand. Naruto suddenly took her face mask off. He hummed. Not a bad looker. Still, you're insane. Why the eye patch? Ravager was still snarling. That is none of your business either, bastard. Naruto nodded. Well, business of mine or not, you will tell me. One way, or the other. His lid on the mask opened and he showed the sharingan eye, and instantly, they were in his Tsukuyomi. Ravager looked around in shock. Where is this place? What the hell did you do? Tell me. Naruto's voice echoed in the air, a black moon showing with red all over. Demanding. So demanding, and yet will not answer me. Ravager gripped her swords, but soon the just dissolved into the air like wisps. She took a fighting pose and looked around. Before long a figure was walking towards her, and she rushed it, yelling. Come at me, you bastard. Is that any way to talk to your father, young lady? Ravager's eyes widened and she stopped, the shadowy figure coming into full view, and she seen someone standing before her, not Naruto. He wore a suit, similar to her own, black with orange. Orange calf boots and orange gloves, orange cargo shorts with a mask, half orange and half black on either side of the face, the orange side showing the eye and not the black, whilst the rest of the suit was scaled Kevlar, black. He even had a belt wrapping across his chest from shoulder to hip, full of bullets, and a gun on his back and a small pole as well. Ravager stood shocked. No, it can't be. Father, you are alive. The man came up to her. Of course I am, you silly girl. You forget who you are talking to. After you failed me, you dare call me father. Ravager backed away. No, you can't be here, you died. I watched the video cameras as the lair fell into lava. You died. The image of her father faded away and she was on the floor crying. No, you died. You were murdered. By that damn woman, that Titan. Ah, there it is. Ravager looked shocked hearing Naruto's voice and looked up to see Naruto standing over her, the world turning normal. So, you have a grudge against the Titans because you think one of them murdered your father by tossing him into lava. Ravager was still shaken up, unable to speak. Naruto glared at her. There's no way a Titan killed him. They don't do that. There's never been reports of them doing such a thing. Ravager cried harder and snarled now. They did. That fucking Terra made the lava under the base erupt and kill him. I have proof. Tapes even. Naruto stepped on her again. I don't know any Terra. She isn't on the Titans anyway. There's not been another Titan from my knowledge. You give up this grudge, or it will destroy you. Ravager struggled as she gasped for breath. Naruto kicked her stomach. Stay down. From what you remember of him, he ain't a very good father. He pretty much told you he disowned you. That was from your memory of him, not some fabrication I made up. Get it through your skull that your father was a bastard and led away from his path, or I guarantee, his fate will be yours as well. Naruto pulled back hard and fast, pulling his swords from her hands and putting them back in their sheaths in the armor along his arms, and started walking away. Ravager cursed, crying out of her single eye. She gripped her swords and slowly got up. She ran at Naruto and roared, screaming. Damn you bastard. Don't you dare talk about me or my father in such a way. Naruto suddenly caught her by the throat, slamming a knee into her stomach with such force she dropped her swords, and he pulled her close to his face. You were the one who made this personal, bitch. Making deals with the assholes I used to call friends, who are now just bastards and bitches, and trying to force me to do your bidding just by trying to blackmail me with the lives of my friends. I can call you and your father anything I damn well please. Sleep, and think on this before you try and face me again, because I promise I will not leave you with stab wounds in your hands as being the only wounds I leave. Naruto bashed his head into her own and she fell over knocked out. Naruto huffed. He gripped his shoulder. Damn, she was tough. If only she wasn't such a bitch, maybe she could be even better, and actually fun to fight. With that, he left and went back to base. When he returned, he seen everyone was back, and Blackfire was wearing some street clothes. He smiled. Least someone had fun. Jinx turned to him, as everyone did, and she noticed the blood on his shoulder. What happened, Naruto? Naruto took his helmet off. Some girl. She called up saying she killed Kid, had you 3 girls tied up and knocked out, and that if I did not go see her for errands, she would blow you all up. I figure it was a lie, and knew so after sending a clone to find out. We ended up fighting. She cut my shoulder. Twice. Pretty deep too. Everyone went to medical, and when Naruto took off his suit, they seen he was bleeding pretty bad, and Jinx was worried. What the hell did she do? How did you even get hit like this? Naruto sighed. A girl, her real name I didn't ask for, but she said to call her Ravager. That got the attention of Private Hive and Gizmo. Gizmo first. What the fuck? You're telling me you met that bitch? That's just not right. How the hell did she even call you without us knowing? Naruto looked to him. She's been slowly hacking, apparently, making sure to exploit every crack in the system without making anything go off for you to notice. So you know her? Private Hive came up. I know of her. She's the daughter of a very well-known villain, and Merc. Deathstroke the Terminator. That got the attention of the rest. Mammoth looked at him. You're kidding me, that guy. No way. He had 3 kids I heard, but one died, one ran away, and the third hasn't been seen. Gizmo was scratching his head furiously. Damn it. Ravager is a heck of a girl to mess with. Her father would have trained her, and he was able to stand up against Batman a few times. Hell, he's faced off against a few of the big names in the JL. If that's anything to go by, Ravager could be pretty damn good too. Naruto nodded as Jinx and Shigo healed his arm. Yeah, she was. It was insane. She was blocking and dodging everything I started out with. I figured out why too. She has the ability to see the future. Gizmo looked shocked. You're joking, right? Fuck. She knows the future. Naruto nodded. Yes, but not very far from present time. If I had to guess, she can see ahead for about 30 seconds. It's pretty harsh to deal with, especially since she told me she also has stronger bones, tougher skin, faster reflexes, and more. Private Hive. Deathstroke could have given her some kind of enhancement drugs to make that happen. He was known to experiment in making himself stronger and better to match his own skill. Who knows if he did the same to his daughter? Naruto sighed. Guess we know now. Gizmo, keep a lock on the systems, make damn certain that don't happen again. Also, I think the Titans are pretty banged up too. Blackfire looked to him now. And why is that? Naruto sighed. My old friends. Apparently she made a deal with them. She gets me, they get the Titans, she has a big grudge on them. She says they killed her father. Jinx frowned. They don't kill. But Slade, who is Deathstroke, was always trying to get apprentices. He had Robin as one, but that was blackmail, similar to how Ravager got you, and Robin turned on him. Then a girl, Terra, she was part of the Titans for a small time, but she helped Slade take over Jump, and when the Titans returned, after they got their butts kicked, there was a very bad earthquake, a little bit like a volcano tried to erupt under Jump. Then Slade isn't anywhere to be found nor heard from. Naruto hummed. Then the story she told me was true. But it must have been an accident. Who knows what happens to people during earthquakes? Blackfire walked up more to him. So you're old friends. Naruto nodded. They are not as strong as me, nor as skilled, but they aren't weak by any means. Guaranteed, 1 or 2 of them will be out of it for a while. Jinx finished patching it up after Shigo stitched it. There, as long as you don't move it for a while, it won't open up again. Naruto nodded, but he looked serious. I don't think this is the last of our troubles. By the looks of it, Ravager was only a stepping stone to something even more disastrous. They all looked to him as he stood. He took a deep breath. I think soon, really soon, I will be facing off against a gauntlet of hell. Something I don't think I can complete without being beaten to a bloody pulp. With that he walked to the door. Everyone get some rest. Tomorrow we start training again. This time, something skill and practical in fighting. That made everyone nervous, but Jinx gripped her fist and stood up. He's right. He's taking all the risk, all the hits for us, and we're laying about relaxing. We may be thieves, and want an easier life, but I don't think it should come at the cost of one of our friends. Especially Naruto. Gizmo scoffed. You're just saying that because you love the bastard. Jinx blushed and pouted but looked at him hard. He sighed. But you got a point. He's helped our lives be this easy and relaxing, we should help him. A vote. All for training into the ground to help Naruto. After a few seconds of looking at each other, it was almost instant but everyone raised their hands. Blackfire smiled. I can hardly wait to see what kind of moves he really has. With that, they all got ready and relaxed till Naruto told them it was time. XXX Extra Scene. Gotham Chronicles, Part 2. The Future XXX. Many years into the future, an old Bruce Wayne was looking at all the toys, gizmos, and artifacts that he took from some scheme or plan one of his old foes attempted, a playing card from the Joker, the giant penny from a robbery, hell even Scarface had his own pedestal. As he walked through the cave that night he passed by the old uniforms of all the soldiers he had in his army in the fight against crime and injustice. His first suit, Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, or the one Tim Drake used to wear anyway, as an adult version of the Red Robin sat in its own case, with a red helmet and two guns places below it. The plank saying many things. Jason Todd, Robin, Red Hood. He passed them all as he went to a special pedestal, one he set up not 5 years before he finally retired. On the pedestal sat a sword, broken into 3 pieces. It was a straight-edged katana, a weird color, and made of one of the toughest metals that ever existed. The plank on the thing had 3 words, and each weighed his heart with pride every single time. Victory over Kitsune X. Suddenly an alarm was set off within the Batcave and he closed his eyes. Computer. Alarm shut down. Authorized access for this time only. The alarm shut off and he opened his eyes, looking at the sword again. He noticed someone stand by him, and smiled. Been a while. I still think you're part Kryptonian for being in your prime at this age. The man chuckled deeply, his helmet making his voice mechanical and menacing. I keep telling you, if I was Kryptonian, I wouldn't have bled when Ravager cut into me so many times. Hell, as I recall, Superman can stand still as a normal person punches him, and when you struck me it was like a damn sledgehammer. Bruce turned, looking at the one beside him. I guess you have a point. If you were Kryptonian, I wouldn't have finally taken you down with my fists alone. Still, after all these years you only grew more powerful, and I need a cane. The man beside him turned and the helmet finally visible, a fox with a red X on it. Kitsune X, Naruto, was standing beside Bruce. I told you, in my world there are bloodlines. I have my mother's blood in me, the Uzumaki blood. I told you this bloodline is basically giving me longevity. I don't die easily, I heal quickly, and I will live for a full 2 lifetimes before I finally die of old age. Bruce nodded. It's amazing to think that your blood is so amazing to give you that much, and I was able to beat you. Be glad I respected you, taking you here to keep your record going. Naruto took off his helmet, sighing as his blonde hair shifted in the air, some of it turning gray. Not once have I been put in jail. Gotta thank you for that. Bruce nodded. You know how it would have gone though. No birth certificate, no blood relatives of any kind, nothing. You are not even supposed to exist and yet here you are. I figured instead of going through that bullshit process, I would just keep you here. Naruto chuckled. At least you were a bit nicer after finally beating me. You really had a grudge on me. Bruce turned and walked away from the sword. What I had a grudge on you for was that you were beating us. Causing more people to be like you. Criminals trying to steal just to show they didn't care. Naruto frowned. Hey, you had those fucking sons of Batman, and kept them around. More vigilantes. No thanks. Bruce smiled a bit. Guess I see your point. Still, you kept beating me, the Titans, most of the Justice League as well. Some new guy around beating every single one of us trying to bring justice to the world. Superman wants to break your limbs and make you suffer still, you realize this. Naruto chuckled nervously. Hey, it's not like I had the strength to stop what happened. Too mean, come on. You knew that day I went to Metropolis, I may not have went to jail, but I didn't have any strength left afterwards to fight back. So, I figured I would just enjoy it. Bruce shrugged. It's not like I can judge. I had a kid with the daughter of a villain of mine. Naruto smirked. And I must say, Dick was pretty good about training him when he took over for a few years. Damien was pretty wild though. Bruce sighed as he sat down in the computer chair. But I regretted not being able to help him myself. Still, Dick did an excellent job. Even after all I did to him back then, he still understood the mantle of Batman, whilst actually helping. Guess I went about it all wrong. Naruto smiled softly. Hey, don't blame yourself. You had how many years of training alone to be Batman after your parents died? You took Dick in nearly the day after his own did, he wasn't alone when he became a hero. I think he understood that, and kept respect. Bruce smiled a bit. Thanks for that. You may be a thief, but at least you're a good one. Bet you were happy when I finally retired. Naruto scoffed. Which time? You retired 3 times, dude. Once before you turned into an old man, your supposed death, then you come back and finally end it. The only time I was happy you retired was the last time though, mainly because I didn't feel right beating you when you were coughing and wheezing. Bruce chuckled. True. Naruto looked at him a little seriously. You know, you never did tell me why you retired the first time. I understood you came back after those mutants were becoming too big a problem, and you had help with the Sons of Batman, but you never truly explained to me the reason why you retired that first time. Bruce took a deep breath. You wouldn't wanna hear it. Suddenly they heard the Batmobile fly in and Bruce hummed. Guess he heard the alarm. You wanna get going? Naruto put his helmet back on and sighed. So much for talk of the good old days. We don't get to talk very often thanks to the kid. Terry flew up and growled. Why are you here? Come to take Bruce prisoner. Naruto chuckled at that. Please, I may be at my prime, unlike him, but that cane is dangerous. I'd rather not fight him again. Besides, there's a reason I came here. Bruce looked serious. He knew that if Naruto was staying when Terry came back would mean he had something to say. What's the news you got for us? Wouldn't be here for a serious talk without it being dangerous. Naruto nodded. Those 3 bitches I have been facing. They are coming after me full force now. They won't give up. Bruce hummed. You mean the exes? Naruto nodded. Yeah, my exes. My 2 daughters want to join me against them, so I want Terry here to stay out of it. Terry growled. Like hell, if you're going to mess with the city again, I am not about to let you run amok. Naruto narrowed his eyes at Terry. If you have a death wish, be my guest. These exes of mine are not about to let anyone in their way live. I may not kill, but these bitches do. All I came here to say was stay back and out of it, this will get beyond messy. It'll be Metropolis all over again. The fight with those girls happens tomorrow night, best keep your distance. Naruto vanished and Terry clenched his teeth. I'm not going to stay back. I'm going to catch him one way or another. Bruce tapped his cane. It's your choice, but I think you would do better to watch from a distance. X is formidable, and you've not even landed a hit on him yet. Keep a sharp eye. When he beats those 3 girls, he will be tired, making an opportune moment to strike. Most likely won't work, but at least it'll give you a chance. Terry sighed but nodded. Fine. But whilst we wait for it, I'll try and get those jokers behind bars. See you tomorrow. Terry went to change out of uniform and get back to his wife-to-be. An entire year flown by with everything going the normal way for everyone. The JL incorporated new members near the end of the year last year, as per usual. Naruto didn't really care. The only ones he knew he would have any kind of potential fight against was Batman and his team of masked crusaders, and after the stunt they pulled at Lex Corp may bring him to Metropolis, meaning potential fights against either Lex himself, or the shield-bearing powerhouses. Any others he may fight against in his time in this world he hoped to avoid period, but if any and all heroes he didn't know were potential fights became dangers to him, he would be prepared for the ones he already knew about. Speaking of his stunt at LexCorp, it was harsh to say the least. He went in with all facts inserted on his HUD in his helmet and stole a generous source of kryptonite, just in case it ran out of juice for Blackfire's suit. Hell, he even seen more than one color, so he took a small sample of each Lex Hard, which were red and blue, along with gold. All were currently inside a vault he made in his room that was layered in heavy lead to keep from any radiation poisoning. As well as separated, after a small accident when the blue and red touched, causing a small fire to implode in his room. Thankfully he knew water jutsu. Blackfire herself was thoroughly happy, flying around like a kid running around a candy store thanks to her powers being returned to her through a fixed suit. It took a few thefts on their part to grab, but finally it was finished enough for her to have everything she ever dreamed of it to give her. All her powers were back, and it even had a few layers of protection as well as survival aspects, such as taking a dive into the heart of a volcano and enduring years at the top of the coldest mountain. Blackfire designed it to something she thought fit a warrior, without taking in too many flashy or pointed armor kind of pieces to it. It was smooth, slick, loose-fitting, whilst still clinging to her the way she felt comfortable of. It was just a black suit with white lines going down the sides of her stomach and torso to a white line around her waist, and on the top of the torso part of the suit was just white from front to back around her shoulders. The suit was mainly black, keeping with the theme of Pandora she supposed, but she did enjoy the color. The first layer was an environmental suit that didn't cling and it breathed just right for her, and sectioned armor to give maximum flexibility and maximum protection. The third and final layer was the titanium cloth suit to add protection, lightweight durability and flexibility, and it was also coated with a special silicone-based material that was designed for people to dive into lava, still in the testing phase however. Between each of the three layers were dragon skin sheets to cushion any blows as well as help keep her cool or warm, depending on the weather or situation she was in. All of this was the best they could throw into it, as well as small wiring components, and inside the sectioned armor were alien systems they could salvage to give her the ability to absorb solar radiation better. Not to mention the kryptonite radiation giving her body the ability to saturate the energy herself, and thanks to the lead casing around the kryptonite, it wouldn't leak out, but the lead covered cords would give her the radiation from the kryptonite with no worries at all. Blackfire was so happy about the suit she just kept hugging Gizmo for such an amazing suit. Naruto was ribbing him day in and day out about crushing on the Tamarinine, and Gizmo just grumbled and got back to work to keep himself from exploding on everyone ribbing him, whilst trying not to pass out from Blackfire's hugs. He enjoyed them so much though, he was kind of surprised he hadn't fainted during one from his heart beating like mad. Now, she may be incredibly happy to be able to fly and use her powers, but even without the suit, she was getting stronger and stronger by the day. Everyone was. Naruto was training them in how to fight better, but not like him. He had clones use the sharingan to follow each of their movements to make it so they fought themselves, and they would normally never even get a hit in on the clones, but they were always getting better at dodging and striking faster. He was real proud of three people though. Blackfire, Jinx, and Mammoth. Shigo was progressing well, but she normally had some good skills. Blackfire herself, although pretty strong at hand-to-hand, was not as good as she had thought. Apparently, as she soon found out, she couldn't even dodge a single punch of the clones she fought. Soon she was taught to fight in general by Naruto himself, and then she got better, way better. Jinx was incredibly acrobatic, and utilizing that she was even starting to get real close to finally hitting one of the clones she fights, and it was pretty wild when she did so many spinning twisting acrobatic combo moves Naruto thought he could never keep up. He was happy she kept trying, no matter how hard she got thrown to the ground. Mammoth was a bigger surprise. He was big, and as such, a big target, not to mention heavy and slow. Naruto suggested getting more endurance to pain and heavier blows and using his body as a shield, and only using short quick attacks. Mammoth was a behemoth after that, and after some weight training on his arms, he was swinging around faster than ever. The others, like Shigo, Kid, and Private Hive, were all doing well on their own, getting better, and they were not useless in combat anymore. Hell, they at least gave the Titans a once-over now and then, and that was something to be proud of to all of them combined. Not to say the Titans themselves were weaker than them, that was not the case. In fact, they were stronger than ever. Static himself was a hell of a support flyer, proving to be Naruto's bane in high-tension situations. Wonder Girl, Starfire, and Superboy, even though the latter had no flight, all were serious powerhouses to deal with, and they were only getting more skilled in hand-to-hand. Superboy included, but Starfire even greater than imagined. Beast Boy was more capable of changing on a dime, so if he started falling from a bad change, say an elephant, he would change to a hummingbird and fly secretly to be able to trick him with a gorilla. Raven was even harder to deal with after a while, it was only now he realized she wasn't holding back. That took a few days to get through his head, she was finally using her powers smartly, which was insane. Cyborg, Naruto thought was the most insane out of the group. He changed his look even, from sleek techno to badass half-machine. He got some wires and power cores, able to shift his machinery to build a bigger batter system to take him down. The Titans were gaining a hell of a strong mindset. Kid Flash was also surprising. Knowing that he, as Kitsune X, was able to follow the speedster's movements, and to incorporate himself as a tougher opponent, he went for something more. Kid Flash now had armor. That surprised Naruto to heck, seeing Kid Flash rush him with pads and steel. His hand-to-hand skills would be a little weaker against him now, making Kid Flash a major threat if he ever got faster and more agile. The Titans have turned from a formidable team of powerhouses, into a real challenging team of fighters with even greater abilities against him. So, with the year being so hellish, Naruto thought it was a good choice to test himself and his team. Not once had the entire team go raid a place. Normally he took the brunt of the Titans, and a few of his team took 1 or 2-1. Naruto rolled his shoulder as he came into the redesigned meeting room. Oh, did I forget to mention the Hive underground hideout had grown. Well, they had an entertainment room, and a mission room now, both even bigger than just the central room was before they redesigned. They grew the base by digging through some ground and creating walls and more so. Even a few other rooms, giving Blackfire a real room now. The mission room had a holographic table and blueprints, but the entire base was now completely off the grid. Gizmo made damn sure that the Ravager stunt never happened again, making the walls into signal-proof walls, so not a single thing could even attempt to gain wireless access to their base. The only way they got new info and blueprints were if Gizmo went out with several dummy, cloned, encrypted, and custom-made tools, gadgets, and computers. He would wipe them clean and generate brand new programs with different settings each time he had to go out, which to him was no hassle. Naruto came up and the entire team was there. Shigo, that arm okay? Static got you good last time. Shigo nodded, rolling the shoulder and tensing her arm as she gripped her fingers over and over. She smiled. Sure is. Thanks to your healing, my arm isn't nearly as bad as it was when he used own power against me. Should have seen he would pressurize my powers to change its molecules to be harmful. Naruto nodded and Jinx came up to him and kissed his cheek, and smiled. You should be the worried one here. Superboy and Cyborg took you down pretty hard. I am sure Gizmo was pissed your mask was broken. Naruto chuckled nervously. Hey, it isn't my fault I didn't see Cyborg behind me when Starfire was bombarding me. Superboy I seen though, so it wasn't that bad. I'd have a damn broken jaw and nose if I let him hit me. Gizmo put up a building on the hologram. If you are done. Naruto wanted this to be a big heist, something we both need and want. We need some more parts to complete the playroom, not to mention some more tech for me to modify to help keep any random tech junkie from finding a pattern to me. Then there is the enjoyable part of the heist. Let's see. He put up each target for the building then shown its image. It's the newest competitor in tech, has some good stuff there. It's some mining company, also dealing with laser and space advancements. So, we get a lot of diamonds, emeralds and more. What you think, Naruto? Naruto hummed. He smiled. Sounds interesting. How far away from the tower? Gizmo zoomed out of the building to see the whole city, and sighed. It's about a minute away. As soon as the alarms are set off, we're in trouble. Naruto hummed. Well, seems we will require a more stealthy approach. If we do get into a pissing contest, who will be fighting? Blackfire smirked, raising her hand. I've yet to actually test out anything I learned. Let me have a crack at my sister, okay? Shigo punched her hand. I'll take Wondergirl on, no problem. Jinx nodded his way. Raven's powers won't be a problem for me. Mammoth popped his neck and knuckled. Cyborg's needing a pounding I owe him. Private Hive saluted. I'll take on Beast Boy, sir. Naruto nodded. They will most likely send Superboy and the kid my way anyway, but as long as you keep them at bay, I can give them some hell of my own. We start in an hour. Prepare for stealth and heavy combat. If the Titans do interrupt, then Kid and my clones can gather the stuff back here. Team meeting adjourned. XXX Titans Tower, an hour earlier XXX. Wondergirl roared as she thrown Superboy into the hard, twisting his arm and trying to pin him quick, but Superboy kicked his feet up, grabbed her by the neck and pulled her into a reverse headlock with his feet. Wondergirl grunted as she was pinned thanks to him keeping a grip on her one wrist and her head in a lock, but that didn't stop her from checking the others. Kid Flash kicked Beast Boy off him, whom was a lion tackling KF in the first place, and KF quickly pushed himself to his feet, where his greatest strength was, and ran super speed at Beast Boy. Beast Boy seen KF rushing him, and in the blink of an eye changed into a turtle. KF went to side swipe. Beast Boy formed the underbelly, the softer of the shell's armor, but Beast Boy changed into a kangaroo and snapped both legs into KF. KF phased right through the kicks and backed off. He smirked. Not bad, you're getting quick on the uptake. Beast Boy changed back to his humanoid form, smiling, but panting lightly. You're too fast for me to get a hit in, but I am not going down that easily. Between them was a sudden blast as Raven had slammed a metal box hard into Starfire, blowing her back into the wall to the side of them. Starfire didn't stay on the wall long as she kicked off and flew up, dodging the next hit. She fired some of her star bolts as she rushed Raven, only for Raven to become intangible before Starfire could strike. Starfire flew through but turned quickly and fired her I-beams, just as Raven turned back and turned to face her, and got hit by doing so. Raven flew up and almost hit the ceiling, but recovered quickly. Raven looked to Starfire, who smiled. You're getting better at taking hits, friend Raven, but I think we both need to be better at seeing what someone else might do to attack us. Raven smiled and nodded. I suppose you have a point there. Let's go again. First one has to do what the other says. Starfire's eyes glowed green and she smiled brighter. Gladly. Static and Cyborg were having a time as well. Static was generating enough power to keep any and all attacks Cyborg could throw his way from landing on him, whilst Cyborg had a new system built in for absorbing energy from any electrical or lightning-based attack, the latter being Hose Kitsune X May Show. Cyborg fired a sonic blast Static's way, only for Static to vibrate his electrical current at the same yet opposite frequency to cancel the blast out. Static grabbed onto a heavy weight and tried to slam Cyborg into the ground with it, but Cyborg grabbed the thing, absorbed the current that Static gave it, and threw it right at Static again. Static himself caught it and set it down. You're getting way stronger, man. I doubt I will be of any challenge to you if you keep upgrading. Cyborg smiled. It's because of you I even have these upgrades. Your mind and my own combined can give anyone a hell of a run down. Besides, it's not the upgrades doing the talking for me, it's my own mind and intellect giving me the advantage in a fight now. I got you to thank for helping me figure out I was missing strategy. Wondergirl was still pinned as she saw and heard it all. She smiled, seeing everyone was a hell of a team now, friends, working together, and getting stronger. She used her other arm to elbow Superboy's ribs and force him to let go. She rolled off, kicked him away and jumped back. Just as he got up she put a hand up to stop. She turned to everyone. Training's finished. Looks like we all are getting to be better at our own unique skills. I'm very happy about that. Still, this is no time to celebrate. We do not know when the next villain will try anything, or Kitsune X for that matter. We caught a few of his team this year, but they always got busted out, but our real trouble is that X isn't just going through robberies, he's taking many things that would not be of value personally or with any amount of money, so I propose we keep an eye on the city, anything else he may hit. Superboy popped his neck as the team came up to hear this. Are you forgetting? He's not exactly the easiest guy to beat. He's always had backup with his team, and that team has been getting stronger and stronger over the year, just as we have. KF punched his shoulder a bit. Doesn't mean we can't deal with it. Come on, you aren't a slouch, and neither is anyone else here. Think about this, we rush him next time, and he won't be able to react fast enough. Raven hummed. But those two guys we caught a year ago had a certain type of eye, and from our information, so does X. It's not going to be easy either way. Starfire frowned. Do not bring those people up. We sent all but 3 of them back, correct? Those 3 girls managed to escape, and we have not found a trace of them. Sakura, Tamari and Ino all managed to sneak away after a few hours of sleep, under their very noses. The team failed to learn that Sakura and Ino were able to use their hands to cut things, and they freed Tamari. Everyone else were still knocked out, and the 3 girls just vanished without helping any of them. Other than that, the others that had been kept in the tower were asked for information regarding the team's biggest threat himself, then what to know about the 3 girls who managed to escape before Raven sent them off back to their own dimension. Neither of the 3 girls surfaced for any reason whatsoever, and after a month they just let subsystems of the tower track any and all movements that it picked up on the streets and cameras from the photos they had. Thing was, the 3 girls were able to change their looks to someone completely different, taller or shorter, male or female, fat or skinny, so chances were slim to find them in the first place. Starfire pouted as she crossed her arms. As far as I am concerned, those 3 are gone and are hiding, so until they surface, we put them out of mind. Wonder Girl nodded, smiling. That is right. Now, let's all take a quick break and start patrol soon. Who knows when anyone will strike? They all agreed. Superboy found himself held back by Raven a bit, who looked to him. How goes the training for the telekinetic field? I haven't seen much progress. Superboy sighed, leaning against the wall. It's not very vast. I've found one ability I can do, using it to push outward. I am slowly calling upon it by will, but it's not very strong or able to help too much in a fight. Raven nodded before smiling. I've been looking into some of my old books. I think I can help you train your mind to control the field more effectively, if you want to. Superboy blinked before smiling. That sounds great. Weird, you never really talked much to me before, and now this. I'm flattered. I didn't think you would actually want to talk to me. Raven turned, blushing a bit. Well, it's not that I didn't want to. I just didn't know what to talk about really. I am not that interesting. Superboy put a hand on her shoulder and turned her around a little. Hey, don't put yourself down. You are pretty strong, and I kind of like black, as you can see. Why wouldn't we have anything to talk about? Especially if you don't try to talk in the first place, right? Raven blushed more, but thanks to the hood it was hidden and she smiled. I guess you have a point. Come by my room whenever you want to talk, or when you are ready to get help with your telekinetic field. Superboy nodded and they went to get something to eat, both having a nice conversation along the way. Interestingly, they had a little bit in common, and started to be better friends now. XXX the heist in progress, an hour later XXX. Mammoth was in an ally keeping track of all police scanners. He touched his ear communicator. Nothing yet. We got everything under control. Naruto was slipping past a laser grid whilst on the ceiling and looked around. Jinx, how's the lock for the mineral room going? It was a total stealth mission. Basically, they were to get in and out without attracting any attention. As soon as they fulfilled their mission, and everything they wanted was taken, they would trip the alarm anyway just to fight the Titans. Jinx surged her bad luck magic into the lock circuit by circuit and soon it beeped and the door opened. She swung it silently all the way and Shigo rushed in silently, jumping up and attaching to a rod on the ceiling. She looked around after getting on the catwalk and Jinx smiled. We're in. Gizmo was with Blackfire in the machinery room, Gizmo putting tracker beacons on 3 little ones as Blackfire grabbed one of the 2 big ones. Gizmo looked around for a good wall and send the far one. Kid, far wall from us. Blackfire needs a way out. Private Hive was on the rooftops, keeping an eye on the skies. Sir, nothing coming our way yet, no Titans. They haven't been sent on patrol it would seem. 10 minutes till they do, though. He looked at his watch and see it was almost time. Naruto got past the heavy security, several stories under the ground, and seen a single door. He put a hand to it and gathered what it was connected to. He hummed. It can't be that easy. No way, it's impossible to be this fucking easy. How can it just be a normal apartment type door? He gently grabbed the knob and slowly creaked it open. He kept opening it, moving to the side in case of any kind of traps behind the door. When nothing was set off, he made a clone and it went in for him. And it dispelled on its own seeing nothing. Naruto went in and looked around, but seen no light source. He was just about to enter night vision mode, when suddenly the entire place lit up like the sun itself. He groaned and put the HUD in shaded mode, so he could freaking see. He looked around and it was nothing but a big room with nothing. Suddenly a very big head appeared and the door behind him slammed shut, and closed off by some kind of metal door, same metal as the walls and floor. Naruto cursed heavily. Great. Trapped. And tricked. Just what the hell is going on here? The schematics for this room were something else. It was supposed to be some kind of deep mineral source, something we needed for weapons. That's what we wanted you to think. Naruto just stayed still, sighing tiredly. Great. Now I'm hearing voices. A disembodied voice. Dramatic. Don't you think? He announced with a stern voice because both he and the voice knew it wasn't in his head. A green light shone from multiple cameras on the wall and shone a three-dimensional imaged face. He narrowed his eyes, knowing the face from one of his bigger heists the last year. It was none other than Lex Luthor himself. Lex smiled. Very perceptive. I wouldn't have expected less from the one man to dodge every trick, trap, and sensor I have guarding my most secret of rooms and facilities within my main office building. In fact, you were so good at stealth and theft that the only reason I even knew it was you was during your escape. Naruto tried to remember it. He had a decent-sized bag of goodies and had wrapped in lead all the kryptonite, but after grabbing the last secret mineral in the Lex Luthor's secret office behind his proposed one, he exited the window. He groaned again and rubbed his head. Of course, those damn window sensor lasers. Then when I looked back to make sure no one noticed me in your office, I guess a secret camera. Luthor smirked. And intelligent, very much so. Yes, indeed, a camera with a perfect sphere of picture-taking capability. Able to take a picture or make a video of everything in the room, or in your case going out the window where it can still see, in a single nanosecond to however long it needs to go on to find the intruders. Naruto looked around and hummed, hearing his communications were blocked and walked to a wall, rubbing it a little and tapping it. Heavy-duty signal breaker soundproof barrier walls with titanium coating, inner and outer layers. You really didn't want me escaping this room. Lex nodded. Of course not. You did steal a very valuable assortment of items from my care. Whether they were stolen by me in the first place or not, it's irrelevant at that point, so why would I be careless and just put you in a room you were fully capable of escaping? You know I am smarter than that. Naruto shrugged. Truthfully, I don't know jack about who you are and what you are truly capable of. All I know is, if it happened to me, I wouldn't allow anyone to escape me either. It's just sensible to think you would know to do this. I suppose you are going to ask me to return everything back to you. Lex hummed and nodded, agreeing with Naruto's statement on what he did being the right thing to do in that situation. He spoke with a small smirk. That's one choice. You have a second one as well, if you wish to hear it. It's more of a proposition of sorts. Consider what you stole a payment in advance. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He didn't take kindly to being pushed around. Lex had yet to threaten him, so he would at least consider hearing it. Fine. What's the proposition? Lex smirked wider. Good. Knowing you will hear this proposition is a good thing, but whatever the deal is, I do not need you for it at this particular moment in time. Until I do, you can go about whatever you want to do until then, but to make sure you know when the time to do your deed for me, you will require a way for me to contact you. Here, take this. A hole in the floor opened up and on a pedestal was a sphere. Naruto looked at Lex, then to the sphere. He took a deep breath and walked to it, grabbing it and looking at what the hell it was. It had lines along it, as if it twisted or turned, maybe just opened in a certain way. Lex nodded. Keep this out in the open. So when I call you, you will know for sure when I want you to come to Metropolis. The deed is simple. Do me one favor, anything I ask of you, and you can keep the stuff you stole for me. Deal. Naruto looked at Lex, narrowing his eyes. Lex seen Naruto being silent, and frowned. You do not accept. I'll give you one more chance to accept this offer, but before you deny it, allow me to explain. Suddenly the building's blueprint was what the green lights made visible, but Lex's voice was still heard. This entire building was a trap for you and your team. A few locations were shown and pictures on a screen that opened in the wall showing his team still working. Lex spoke more. The equipment is real, so if the loot you were all so eager to take. I had to make it tempting by any and all means I saw fit to employ regarding your past endeavors. However, even though everything inside this building that was valuable enough for your team to swipe is real and what was advertised, the building itself is not. It is, actually, a giant nuclear bomb, capable of devastating the entire city to rubble when it goes off. Don't believe me? Here's a core. Naruto looked to some of the walls opening and showing that he was inside one of the cores. He cursed, sensing it was all real. Lex chuckled. Did I get your attention? Deny this offer, and I blow this city, you, and your friends to atoms. However, if you accept my deal, and honor it, I will, after the deed is done, tear this building down and you will not be threatened any longer. Naruto growled at Lex. And you expect me to trust you? Lex laughed a little lightheartedly. You make me sound like one of those rogues Batman deals with, those mental patient type of villains. I'm just a simple businessman, and when business is concluded, and I come out on top, I don't very much care what the other terms were. If I make a profit and I have everything I want and need, then I would gladly honor my end of the bargain. Besides, I hold no grudge against you to errant a death, it wouldn't be very productive. A thief is a thief, after all, not a goody-goody like Superman, or a mental case like the Joker. So, what do you say? Final chance. Naruto growled, but looked at the ball. He nodded and put it in his scroll, putting the scroll away. Lex came back as the light's image. Good choice. Now, get going. You were caught. After all, I will be allowing the alarms to start blaring for the Titans their chance to catch you. See you when I call for you. Naruto seen the door available behind him to get through and ran out fast, his comms back online. Guys, progress. Jinx and Shigo gave the last of their loot to Kid, who vanished. Shigo was confused and held her device. What's wrong? We've been calling a while, the loot is all taken, and no alarms or guards. It feels weird, it's like this was planned way too well. Blackfire came back through the portal as Kid brought her back and Gizmo gave him the last device. Blackfire huffed and called on hers. Yeah, nothing. Usually when something goes this smooth, it's more like a beast bzzzt. Trap. Naruto cursed, coming up the vents. Guys, this whole building was a setup. It was a trap by Lex Luthor to get to me. I'll explain later. Kid, get the fuck back to base, and I want progress on the parts Gizmo. Gizmo blinked, knowing when his name was said by Naruto it meant be serious. All parts moved to base. Did you say Lex, as in the Lex? Naruto suddenly came from a vent in that room and huffed. Naruto looked pissed. Yeah, Luthor himself of Lex Corp. Out. Now. Infiltration team all to the main lobby. Stealth is not a factor, just get to extraction point. Hive. Got an eyeball. Hive had landed on his feet on the ground of the ally by Mammoth and both he and Mammoth ran to the door, breaking the doors open. He huffed. Titans, they will be here any second, sir. Everyone met at the door and Naruto ran out first. He seen the Titans who could fly start dropping to the street, the T-car open to show Cyborg, Kid Flash appearing fact behind, and Superboy rode in from the other side of the building on a black and red bike with the shield on it. Naruto and his team stood at the entrance and looked at the Titans in front of them. Naruto took a deep breath and sighed. Tricked, but we did get our loot. I suppose I can let out my frustrations on Lex at a later date. Right now, I wanna have some fucking fun, and see how far my team got compared to the Titans. Wonder Girl knew the answer to this question as she glared at Naruto. Kitsune X. Give yourself up, or we will take you down by force. Kitsune shrugged and hummed playfully for all to hear. Hey, calm your tits, Wonder Bra, you know the drill, the only way you're taking me on a date is if you pay for dinner. Wonder Girl growled at her nickname given by Naruto. Naruto had been coming up with nicknames for everyone on the Titans to play around and maybe have a little fun making them angry. Wonder Girl pointed at Pandora. Titans go. Naruto grinned. Pandora. Spread out. The Titans sprang to action towards Pandora, and Pandora split up to take on the people they said they would fight during this heist's confrontation. Naruto flew up and popped his neck as he got ready to face whomever came his way. Oh, Lex, you think you can get on my nerves? If you are watching, this is what happened when you GT on my nerves. With that in mind, he rose both arms and just as Wonder Girl was about to punch him he flew up over the strike and slammed both hands like a ham to the back of her head, sending her hard into the building. I'm just getting started. XXX extra scene. The travel back for the Konoha flunkies XXX. Wonder Girl huffed, looking at the lot in front of her. So, let me get this straight. X has a powerful demon inside him that creates those numerous tails that are kicking our butts, and the more tails he has, the faster and stronger he gets. Neji shrugged and sighed. Yes, we've said this already a few times. How many more times do we have to explain this? Superboy knelt next to Lee. And those girls, where would they have fled to? Lee shook his head. We do not know. The two blondes, Ino and Tamari, have been unstable and not like how they used to be years ago, so we do not really know for sure what they are capable of or thinking of doing or where they are going. This is still a new world to us after all, and we only ever tried to keep searching this town for our target to capture, this X you speak of. KF groaned and rubbed his head. And that pink-haired one. What about her? Anything on her? Sasuke scoffed. She's just a nothing, a loser who only just now thought of being a traitor. Like we would know what she is up to, possibly more likely to stay with the other two losers and weaklings though. Losers always stick together, the proof is right in front of me, he glared with sharingan activated. Raven gagged him again with his own socks and slapped his sandal over his eyes with her powers. Be quiet and answer with care, you criminal. Kakashi chuckled nervously. Whilst we appreciate you not killing us, we are not truly criminals, only trying to return to our home dimension with the entire team and who we were sent after to retrieve for the home dimension. It's a simple mix-up, and we got mixed up with some nasty people I will admit, but we ourselves are not criminals. Starfire was about to punch them again when Beast Boy and Cyborg held her back. Calm down, Star, he's being polite at least. Wonder Girl nodded. Two medics able to create scalpels with their hands, someone strong enough to crush steel, someone capable of entering mines, and another with powers over the wind who is not a medic. Kakashi nodded. And all capable of transformation into whatever they wanna look like. That is all we can give you. Sorry. Wonder Girl sighed heavily. She looked to Raven. Do it. This is all they are giving us, and are no longer of any use to us being here. Let them back to where they came, they won't be any more trouble later on. Raven started her spell, chanting and meditating until suddenly a hole appeared and they all went right through it to their dimension, and Raven had pulled their ropes off to make sure they could survive back in their world. Superboy looked to Raven. Remind me never to make you mad. I do not want to end up in another dimension. Raven smirked a bit at that. Good call. I'll update the database. Everyone rest up. Besides me, everyone got pretty beat up, and require rest. And I need to meditate. Raven went to her room shortly after updating the database on the 3 women who escaped them, and started meditating. She blushed as she started. Why do I feel like this? It's strange. Whenever I am near that Kryptonian, I feel like his powers are complementing my own, and being near him I feel slightly complete. I don't understand. Naruto flew off a bit and seen Kid flash past him and only just getting ahead before sending a lightning speed punch at him. Naruto ducked and rolled on the ground, stopping effectively. He jumped up and over as Superboy tried to punch him from behind, and Superboy twisted around as he and KF blocked Naruto's path. Naruto landed and popped his neck. Power and speed. Not a bad combo against me. Let's see how you fare this time around. He had a clone in the air watching everyone fighting below, so he could review everything later. This was supposed to be a test on the entire team's abilities. Shigo had jumped up into the building where Wonder Girl had been slammed through due to Naruto's diversion attack. She smirked as she popped her knuckles and walked forth. Guess it's you and me, huh, Wonder Gal? Wonder Girl groaned as she threw a huge wall off her and glared at Shigo. You think you can take me? And Amazon Warrior? Shigo's arms suddenly went ablaze and she grinned more. We will be finding out, now won't we? Come on girlie, show me what you can do. Wonder Girl flew fast as Shigo. She took a stance and generated a huge ball of energy, blasting it out at Wonder Girl and forcing her back. As it blinded Wonder Girl, Shigo rushed in and slammed a fist into her gut, then twisted, rising an uppercut rising heel kick into her chin and throwing her through the ceiling. Shigo jumped up the hole and seen Wonder Girl rolling on the ground. Taking a nap already. Wonder Girl wiped her mouth of spit and got up, glaring at Shigo. I've yet to begin. She rushed in and threw her own hook to Shigo's face, but Shigo blocked it, dodging the next hook and about to throw her own gut wrencher only to have Wonder Girl put a foot on Shigo's fist and kicking it down, and using the other leg to do a back flip kick and tossing Shigo back on the ground a few feet away. Wonder Girl hovered off the ground after that and raced towards Shigo, attempting to end this quickly, but Shigo wasn't going down easily as she kicked up hard suddenly and slammed Wonder Girl back into the ceiling. Shigo got up and blasted a dense energy ball at the Amazonian warrior and forced her back. Shigo huffed, calming down. She smiled as she got into stance. This is gonna be fun. Wonder Girl grabbed her lasso and tossed it, wrapping it around Shigo. Shigo grabbed the thing and kicked a foot hard in front of her into some rubble and pulled with all her might, pulling Wonder Girl right to her. Thanks to the momentum of her hard tug, she was already falling back, so she jumped up and spun, right as Wonder Girl got to her, and kicked her square in the jaw, making her fly back again into the far wall. Shigo unwrapped herself and rushed in, throwing projectile blasts of energy at Wonder Girl every single step she took in her sprint. The energy blasts were bombarding Wonder Girl heavily and the wall itself turned to dust, creating a dusty cover. Shigo stopped just before she went near the dusty smokescreen she created whilst bombarding Wonder Girl and waited, huffing. Truthfully, Shigo wasn't really holding back her blasts. The whole wall around where she fired was crumbling like hell. The floor above was barely holding as is from her strong explosive energy blasts. She was heavily exerting her energy here, but she knew it was against an opponent she could not afford to be conservative around. The smoke cleared up and Shigo looked surprised to see Wonder Girl has vanished. She backed up a bit, looking around, waiting to hear even a single sound. She heard it as the floor above her started cracking and she noticed it was twisting a bit. Oh, crew, was all she could say. Suddenly the whole floor above her came crashing down upon her head, and Wonder Girl had kicked it down. Wonder Girl flew above the fallen floor and looked around for even a single crack Shigo would make to escape the rubble. When she didn't see anything, she grabbed the floor. She's finally knocked out. Took a whole floor to do so, but at least we caught one. Now, where are all? Shigo suddenly blasted with half her remaining power, an energy blast aimed right at Wonder Girl as she lifted the rubble that was on top of her. Shigo huffed, her arm broken from the collapse on top of her. No thanks, I don't do well in white and black stripes. Shigo groaned and got up, charging the rest of her energy as she came to Wonder Girl, weakly shaking of the last blast. Shigo didn't waste a second and fired the last explosive blast of energy she had left, and it hit hard, blowing Wonder Girl through the floor to the ground floor. Shigo jumped down and made sure Wonder Girl is out, slapping her once. Yep, she's down, kid. She looked around and Kid came up beside her, creating a portal in the floor. He nodded and she did as well. The plan was, as soon as they had finished their battles, whoever was not beaten would get back to base quick. Kid would be waiting for the call. She jumped through and Kid followed before going to the place he would hide till called. Beast Boy was currently taking on Private Hive, who had just bashed him a few feet away with his shield. Thanks to Naruto's suggestion, he kept his shield close, more defensive, but used it to attack in a way that gave him the most protection. Beast Boy huffed and changed from his gorilla form to his bull form. He charged ahead fast and Private Hive jumped over him as he tried to run Private Hive over. Beast Boy changed quickly into a kangaroo and jumped back hard, flipping and kicking again trying to slam Private Hive hard into the building behind him. Private Hive blocked the brute force of the attack, but the push against him was so intense he did end up flying back into the building that was directly behind him. Beast Boy changed into a hawk and flew to the falling Private Hive. Hive groaned as he tried getting up from his fall, but before he could, Beast Boy turned into a T-Rex, and stomped Hive into the ground, pinning him effectively. Beast Boy stomped on Hive 2 more times to knock him out before turning back. He huffed. The private is down, now to help the others. Beast Boy flew up to see who was still fighting. Sadly, he got snuck up on and got hit by the Naruto clone. It chuckled as it let Beast Boy fall to the roof below a few feet down. Sorry, but it's unfair if you take on my team 2-on-1. It looked to see Mammoth against Cyborg. Not bad, big guy. What he was referring to was Mammoth tossing Cyborg to the ground after a few seconds of grappling. Cyborg got up and activated his cannon, blasting it full power at Mammoth, but the big guy grabbed the very street and lifted it up quick, creating a block for the powerful beam. Cyborg ran up and roared, breaking through and trying to hit Mammoth in a hurry, but Mammoth blocked it and twisting a bit, shocking Cyborg before he threw a harsh jab down, knocking Cyborg to the ground. Cyborg was grabbed by the back of the head and thrown to the building behind him. Mammoth rushed for him after and didn't take a chance. He seen Cyborg getting up and grabbed the light pole, ripping it out of the ground and swinging. This backfired, however, as Cyborg punched the pole and broke it in half before running at Mammoth. Mammoth set the pole down and got ready as Cyborg came up, and blocked as Cyborg threw a fast jab to his stomach. Mammoth rose a harsh backhand, but Cyborg dodged backwards before throwing the hardest jab he could at Mammoth's face, only to have Mammoth block it again. Mammoth stepped forward quick and pushed both his arms out, slamming both his fists into Cyborg's head and knocking him through the building itself. Mammoth rushed in at this point and grabbed a desk this time. Cyborg got up and blasted his cannon again, but this time Mammoth used his picked-up item as a shield, racing forward still. As he got close, Cyborg stopped firing, and Mammoth got ready to strike. Cyborg wasn't having any of that and kicked Mammoth's leg from under him. Mammoth dropped in surprise, but only saw Cyborg uppercut him harshly and up into the next floor. Mammoth got stuck in the floor at that point and Cyborg groaned, straining his hurt arm as Mammoth managed to damage it, denting the alloy in his shoulder and breaking a few connections from the super punch into the building. Cyborg wasn't fit to fight much, but he would go and try to help his other teammates. Just as he was going, Mammoth broke out of the floor and grabbed the nearest object, throwing it hard and hitting Cyborg hard in the back and making him fly out of the building very fast. Mammoth rushed out to follow. I got careless. Cyborg groaned as he got up, rubbing his head. As he got himself together, he looked up only to see Mammoth smash a foot into his face and kick him hard into another building. Mammoth followed swiftly, but as he got close, he seen Cyborg aim his sonic cannon. Mammoth jumped out of the direct path of the blast as Cyborg fired, and Cyborg scoffed as he got up and charged for Mammoth. Mammoth stayed hidden behind the wall beside the hole till Cyborg came through, and when he did, Mammoth grabbed him and jerked hard, slamming Cyborg through the same wall again and then pulled him up into the air and slammed him into the ground. Cyborg huffed and groaned in pain, and as he was let go, he tried to get up, only to have Mammoth stomp him into the ground again. Cyborg was getting sick of this, and activated his jetpack he installed and flew at Mammoth, grabbing his legs and flying up on his feet before slamming Mammoth to the ground with the added momentum he had. Cyborg lifted Mammoth's legs up and gripped hard before spinning him around. Soon enough, he got a high speed of spinning going before throwing Mammoth through several walls and ceilings up through the building. Cyborg followed in the general direction before seeing Mammoth hit into another towering skyscraper and falling down. Cyborg didn't wait up and ran fast under Mammoth's falling form and reared back. Cyborg roared as he sent a harsh uppercut into Mammoth's stomach and knocking the wind out of Mammoth, big time. Mammoth coughed in shock before fainting from the pain. Cyborg laid him down and checked his vitals. He's tough as nails, as always. Still, I owed him big time. Cyborg checked his power cell and narrowed his eyes. Only 5%. Only enough to watch. It would take everything out of me if I had to fight another powerhouse. He looked back to the fighting. Unbeknownst to him, Kid made a portal to take Mammoth out of there silently, and had done so with Hive as well. Hey, Kid wasn't about to let his friends get sent to jail if he could stop it, could he? Static was having a little trouble currently. As he was attempting to catch up with Superboy and Kid Flash, he found himself flung off his flying disc, yet again, and this time it was by Gizmo. The little genius activated his new pack on his back and it created several spider legs, and one flew up and whacked Static off his disc, making it easier for Gizmo to prey on him. Static hit the ground hard but managed to get up on his feet, rubbing his head. God, man, what got me? He didn't have time to react as he looked and seen a huge mechanical spider leg slam against him and made him fly back and into the mailbox. Static grunted in pain as he hit it hard but regained his focus, being able to take a hit when he was challenged, thanks to his year of training and taking on the Rouges for the Titans, whom only grew over the years. Static jumped out of the way as Gizmo fired a plastic rope to catch him with, but before Gizmo could charge again, Static used his electromagnetism to pick the mailbox he hit up and threw it at Gizmo. Gizmo fired a missile at it and it was destroyed before it hit him. Gizmo didn't neglect his ammo, cause he had 3 more fire and rushed towards Static. Static wasn't just sitting around as he threw the mailbox, he also magnetized his flying disc a few feet away and used it, making it spin, and cut the missiles, making them detonate. Static got back on his disc and flew up a little, firing a beam of electromagnetic power to try and gain control of Gizmo's equipment. Gizmo seen this and blocked with 2 of the legs he had, and grinned. Sorry, Disc Boy, but I prepared for this one, it's all plastic, and I made sure to keep the plastic totally unaffected by your stupid powers. Take this pit sniffer. Gizmo used 2 legs to hook onto a street lamp and pull himself away from the blast before jumping into the air and retracting his spider legs in his backpack, the thing turning into wings and a jet and he flew around. Static raced after him, only to have Gizmo to land sideways on a telephone pole and use it to zoom off of and tackled Static, who was shocked by the crazy stunt. Static was falling to the ground a little fast but he managed to get his disc back and under him to catch him. Gizmo seen this and fired 4 more rockets at Static, only to have him fire off jolting shocks of electricity and making them prematurely explode. Gizmo scoffed. Shit, you asshole, you are making me look bad here. Static flew up and stalled in front of Gizmo for a face-to-face. Yeah, well, unluckily for you, I'm gonna make you look worse, you little punk. With that he fired another blast of his power at Gizmo, only for Gizmo to dodge it by flying up at a fast rate of ascent. Static followed quickly, firing blast after blast, only to give Gizmo's greater flying ability dodge every jolt. Gizmo finally had enough and cut his jetpack power and let himself slow down. Static seen this, and knew it was gonna be some kind of trap, so he kept his distance. Gizmo stalled before flipping back and letting gravity be the force of his fall as he let his glider steer him to Static. Static smirked. Sorry, but if you think cutting power to your pack will stop me from getting a hold of it, then you are so mistaken. Gizmo grinned as he seen Static fire at him with a powerful and wide electrical field. Sorry, but you fell for my trap, you shit-headed fly boy. He activated his jetpack and a large antenna came from it, and suddenly all the wide field was sucked in and absorbed, which shocked Static a bit. Gizmo's antenna doubles as a cannon as well, and it fired a single-point electrical pulse at Static before Static could recover from the surprise of his power being absorbed. It hit Static hard and gave him a short outage of his own. Gizmo thought fast and blasted his pack, getting as close as possible. Static hit the ground and shook a bit but he quickly surged his power and got control of his body back. He got up quick, not letting any kind of twitch stop him from fleeing the area. He knew villains like to take heroes on the ground down and out fast. He got his board and started flying away when out of nowhere he got blasted by a torrent of water. Static cried out as his entire body shorted out, all his power zapped out of him and gone in seconds. He landed on the ground, huffing in exertion and pain as his body was unable to move. Gizmo chuckled before changing his jetpack and glider form back to spider form and picked Static up. Sorry, Crud Eater, but we were prepared to fight you all the second we left our base. Enjoy your rest, cause I, Gizmo, beat the human battery. He suddenly slammed Static to the ground hard, knocking him out finally. Gizmo grabbed Static's flying disc and called Kid, who he teleported back to base with. Jinx was currently dodging a lamp post and several cars being thrown her way. Her greater athletic abilities showing beautifully as she flipped over one car and used her bad luck knife to cut the lamp post and flip under the next car, landing on the ground. Jinx had learned a fair amount about her knife from the robbery a year ago. It had a magical attribute to not only focus her own magical bad luck, but to also extend it. It could cut through anything she wished, and thankfully her powers were more under control to the point that if she didn't want to kill anyone, even if she stabbed them, it wouldn't hurt them. Her bad luck magic grew to a chance magic. She could make things go bad through bad luck, or give her allies a helpful boost with good luck magic. Raven rushed in fast and tried a more direct approach, throwing a few punches. Jinx back-flipped using her acrobatics to dodge every which way until she flipped faster and slammed a rising uppercut kick to Raven's chin, sending her back a bit. Raven groaned and shook it off before taking a deep breath. You have gotten quite good, I will admit, but you cannot win against me now. I have grown in leaps and bounds. Azarath. Suddenly a huge ball of dark energy formed above her and she shot it in front of her, smaller balls of energy firing all around towards Jinx. Jinx looked shocked at this. Alright, that's new. She twirled her knife downward and stabbed it in the ground, which made it unstable and cringe up from the pressure building from the ground below, thanks to her magic, and it covered her in a small surrounding wall. The magical energy balls blasted against the concrete wall, but didn't get through. Jinx jumped out as she seen the wall get encompassed by Raven's magic and tried to trap her, but she moved too fast and got out, and used the closing concrete to jump up into the air. Bad move, as Raven caught Jinx and stopped her before throwing her to the ground again. Raven pulled her back up, but Jinx's knife cut through the dark energy. Jinx landed on her feet, groaning in pain, but rushed forward. Raven narrowed her eyes. She flew down in front of Jinx and used her energy to form a solid ball and slammed it down on Jinx. Sadly, Jinx is too quick for that and threw her body to the side, dodging it, and as her back was turned to Raven through her ballet-style spinning dodge, she twisted and raised her leg up, slamming it up into Raven. Raven managed to catch the leg, but not before the hell hit her stomach hard enough to send her back a bit. Jinx looked in horror as Raven landed on the ground, and twisted, gripping Jinx's leg and pulling hard. Raven rose Jinx in the air and slammed her into the ground before grabbing the nearest long object, a telephone pole, and pressed it against Jinx, trapping her to the ground. Raven quickly came up and punched Jinx out. Raven shook her hand and hissed in pain. I'm not cut out for hand-to-hand combat. But at least she is down. Raven looked around, and seen her battle took her a block or two away from the others, and started flying. Sadly, as she did, Kid got Jinx out of there, and Naruto's clone came crashing down and knocking her out of the sky, and knocked out on the sidewalk. Naruto's clone sighed. Seriously. 2 wins, 2 loses. Now it's just me and Blackfire. Speaking of Blackfire, she and Starfire were grappling high in the sky. Blackfire groaning as she tried to gain the upper hand, but her sister, Starfire, has grown even stronger than she imagined. Starfire suddenly roared and pulled Blackfire in, slamming her head against Blackfire. Blackfire gasped in pain, but as she was covering, Starfire had rose her arms and charged a powerful star bolt, and fired without hesitation. She blasted Blackfire out of the sky and rocketing into a building's roof below. Blackfire got up, rubbing her head. I was not expecting her to get this skilled. She must have been throwing herself into battle and training till she couldn't move anymore for this improvement. You have no idea, sister. Starfire came down, Robin's cape fluttering behind her as she floated above her sister. I have been growing strong, every single day, so that I may finally take down X, for his misdeeds, and his wrongdoings. He may not have hurt anyone, but he is still a thief. Why join him? Why join a thief instead of coming home, and being appreciated? Blackfire brushed herself off and rose up to meet her sister in the air. Because, dear sister, I will never be appreciated by the likes of our people. The only one who appreciates me for who I am, and understands me all too well, is X himself, and it was with his help I became strong again. My powers, my life, my skill, I owe it all to him. Blackfire roared as she flew super fast and tackled her sister, arching down and slamming Starfire into the street. Starfire fired her eye bolts only for Blackfire to flip off her and fire her own. Starfire flew away just in time to dodge them, and fired a barrage of her star bolts at her sister. Blackfire wasn't going down without a fight and dodged every single one as she flew to her sister, grabbing one arm quickly to stop the barrage. Starfire encompassed her star bolt around her other hand and threw a nasty hook, but Blackfire ducked under it, encompassing her own free hand with a black bolt and slammed a strong uppercut into Starfire's chin. Starfire was sent flying back and into the sky from that, and Blackfire followed quickly. Starfire soon managed to recover and collect herself in time as she seen her sister racing towards her. Starfire reared back and as soon as Blackfire tried to punch her in the face, Starfire struck her palm out and caught the fist in her hand and twisted, throwing Blackfire off to the side, but quickly twisted right back, her hands together as she slammed them both against Blackfire's chest like a sledgehammer. Starfire used as much force as she could bear without trying to take her sister down, but wanted to make a point. She was not about to lose to her sister when she sided herself with the thief who helped drive the one she cared for so much away. Blackfire was roaring back to the ground from that strike, but managed to stop her descent and relax. Starfire, you've grown even more than I imagined. She smiled a little, just like a true Tamarinin warrior princess should be. Blackfire seen Starfire coming back down, and took a deep breath. Alright, time to pull out all the stops. I didn't train my hand-to-hand skills up to lose here. Here, I come, dear sister. Starfire and Blackfire raced at each other with frightening speed before finally clashing. Blackfire and Starfire crushed their hands together, grappling once more as they were from the beginning. Blackfire decided to pull out all the stops from here on, and Starfire seen the determination for fighting in her sister's eyes. Blackfire roared and pushed hard, forcing her way through our sister. Starfire tried to let go and fly away, but Blackfire had a tight grip on her hands and pulled her into the air before racing down and slamming Starfire hard into the street. Blackfire flew back as she awaited Starfire's reply to that tactic. Starfire's reply was to get up, grab the street itself and lift a big chunk up. Blackfire looked surprised but flew up to dodge the thing as Starfire threw the huge block of street at her. Blackfire managed to dodge it and huff. Okay, she's definitely thinking of new tact. She didn't have time to finish, as Starfire raced up and lammed her cupped together hands down harshly, driving Blackfire into the street in a crater from the force she hit at. Blackfire groaned as she opened our eyes, only to see Starfire speed down feet first and slammed both heels deep into Blackfire's gut, making her gawk out in pain, gasping for breath from the sudden explosive attack. Starfire didn't fly up, feeling confident her final attack knocked our sister out cold. She held above her sister, standing over her with a leg on each side. Sorry, sister, but you made me do this. Starfire stepped away and started flying, only to feel her leg tug as she was grabbed. She looked down to see Blackfire was holding her foot and coughing, trying to regain her breath. Blackfire huffed deeply, breathing heavily as she looked up to Starfire. We are not done. Not by a long shot. Starfire charged a star bolt, but wasn't able to throw it as Blackfire flew up suddenly and pulled Starfire with her. She stopped before getting to high and twisted around, creating centrifugal force with Starfire spinning around, spinning faster and faster until she let go and slammed Starfire into the ground where she had laid just a moment ago. Blackfire didn't hesitate a single second and just discharged every single ounce of her remaining energy, firing black bolts and eye bolts with rapid-fire movements, the crater becoming larger and blasted all around as Blackfire attempted to finally defeat her sister. Blackfire finally felt her energy deplete to the point she could barely fly. She floated down, huffing, and seen the smoke clear. When the smoke finally cleared from where Starfire lay, Blackfire gasped in shock as she seen Starfire raise up unscathed. No, impossible. Starfire had used Robin's cape to take the entire force of the blast. Thankfully, she had tested it thoroughly to make sure it could handle her powers, and it could. Starfire looked at her sister, eyes glowing. I was protected by the one I care for more than any other. And with his gift, I can do anything. Even beat you. No matter how strong you get, sister. Blackfire looked in horror as Starfire grabbed her by the collar and slammed a heavy punch to her sister's face, making her fly back and hit the ground, and finally knocked out. Starfire collapsed on the ground soon after, holding her ribcage. Truth was, the dense titanium cloth cape could handle the force of Tamaranine energy strikes, but the force of which her sister used against her was so much, it transferred to her own body, crushing her ribs pretty badly. She wasn't going to be able to fight any longer. Sister, you are more worthy of being the crown princess, just in skill alone, but your heart shall never be in the right place if you stay allied to criminals. Starfire flew off in an attempt to find Kitsune X, but what she failed to find later on was her sister, because when she left, Kid got Blackfire out of there and back to base. Safe and sound. Starfire did manage to fly on top of a building and seen Superboy get thrown into the ground. She winced as it made a crater. Friend Superboy is not doing well. Superboy got up and shook it off as Kid Flash was racing around Naruto with super speed. Naruto was watching every move. Ever since this fight started, he was actually dragging it out, letting them try their hands at him, and dodging them or throwing them each time, but nothing else. He was awaiting for everyone else to finish. And when everyone finished, the clone vanished. Naruto sighed. 2 wins, 3 losses. Well, I suppose if I win this, we tie. Kid Flash heard this and rushed in, trying to punch Naruto in the gut, but Naruto caught the fist. Kid Flash backed away and huffed. Tie. How do you know how the others did? Naruto smirked. A clone I made was watching. It just disappeared because it had all the information I wanted about the other fights going on, and now I can finally stop dragging this battle out. Superboy grabbed a car and ran with it to Naruto, but Naruto seen this coming a mile away and jumped when Superboy tried to crash it on top of him. Naruto landed behind Superboy and threw a wicked uppercut, but Kid Flash stopped him and caught his arm, holding it back. Superboy stepped backwards and twisted, trying a strong elbow strike to Naruto's chest would finally hit, but Naruto dodged to the side, pulling Kid Flash with him and in the way of Superboy's strike. Kid Flash seen this and just as the strike was about to hit he vibrated his body and went intangible, freeing Naruto's hold on his arm, and letting Superboy's strike pass through him and he himself get free of danger. He sped away before Naruto could connect with the sudden kick to the gut, and Superboy grabbed said leg quickly. Naruto was actually surprised by all this, but he had no time to play around. He had to get back to base and his team, make sure those who lost are okay, and explain the situation. He rose both hands up and slammed them hard against Superboy, but Superboy used his telekinesis and pushed the strike away, surprising Naruto to hell, and Kid Flash used this chance to rush in and furiously fire a barrage of punches against Naruto's chest and head, forcing him to the ground as Superboy let go. Naruto took every punch before covering his body in electrical armor made of lightning and shocked Kid Flash, sending him back. Naruto got up and dodged the sudden slamming of Superboy's fist, which met the ground and not his face. Naruto huffed a bit as he stared them both down. Okay, so the kid can go intangible and get free of anything, and Superboy got control of that fucking force field of his. Damn thing reminds me of Payne's almighty push. Okay, I don't know how the fuck I am gonna end this quickly, but I gotta try. And seems they are getting better at combining their efforts, so I have to take one down before I take another, cause both at the same time as hell. Kid Flash sped at him with amazing speed, as always, but this time he went direct. That surprised Naruto, but he wasn't about to back out of the challenge. Naruto used his sharingan to help keep up with Kid Flash's speed as he sent punch after kick at Naruto, trying to gain leverage. Naruto kept blocking every single punch with minimal movement, but a hell of a lot of effort. Superboy rushed in as well and Naruto seen this. He had to kick Kid Flash out of the way, and he sent both fists out to get Kid Flash off his case. Kid Flash had other plans, as he went intangible and Superboy grabbed Naruto's arms and pulled hard, lifting Naruto up and slamming him down hard, but not on the ground. It was Kid Flash's fist, which was supercharged and sped up with enough momentum so Kid Flash would not be affected by Superboy using Naruto as a sledgehammer, as well as enough power to break Naruto's back through the suit. Naruto gawked breathlessly as his back broke from the sudden skill and power these two gained, and finally managed to do something effective. Naruto was tossed to the ground, where he was arched and wiggling in pain. Superboy and Kid Flash nodded to each other, and Superboy grabbed Naruto's arms, putting them together as Kid Flash grabbed a special pair of titanium cuffs. Just as Kid Flash attached one, Naruto grew a single tail of Kyuubi's chakra and punched them both off and back a few feet. Naruto got up, popping his back into place again. He huffed, gasping and gagging for breath as he was in incredible pain. Kid Flash and Superboy looked in shock from this. Kid Flash shook his head, which was aching. Damn, and I thought we finally had him. How the hell did he get up from that? Superboy narrowed his eyes. He's skilled, and extremely tough. He forced his back right back into place, but it would seem he still needs time to heal before he can be fully back to normal. We have to take him down again, he should be weak enough another combined assault can take him. Come on, take him KF. Just as Superboy said this, Naruto slammed a fist hard against his face. Not just once, Naruto had pulled an extra tail and was speedily punching Superboy's head into the ground again and again till he was in a cater and knocked the hell out in 5 seconds flat. Kid Flash looked shocked but seen Naruto retract the tails. He started walking of, and Kid Flash shook in rage. Hey, you can't just knock out my friend like that and think me not a threat. Kid Flash sped up and in front of Naruto, where Naruto punched him hard and he flew back a few feet. Naruto huffed, groaning as he stretched his back. Kid, you already broke some bones, for that I respect you, but I gotta go. Trust me being free right now, is a good thing. Kid Flash wiped his mouth of blood as he got up, groaning. I think different. I have yet begun to show you just how fast I am now. Naruto rolled his eyes at that, but Kid Flash sped up even faster than before and slammed a harsh kick into Naruto's gut, forcing him back. Naruto rolled on the ground a bit but instantly got up and stopped, looking forward. All he saw was Kid Flash's fists as he was being pummeled. To him, all he could see was yellow and red and feeling pain all over. To the outside eye, around his was a red and yellow blur speeding all around. Kid Flash was running all around him striking with super speed every single step. Naruto tensed up and spun around, trying to clothesline Kid Flash, but KF had seen this coming and sped away real quick. Naruto seen KF speed away for 1 second before slamming a clothesline of his own to Naruto, who hit the ground hard thanks to the kneeling position he was in not giving him the greatest leverage. Naruto got up instantly, dodging Kid Flash's strikes every chance he could, getting a hook here, a jab there, even a kick to the shin every time it could hit, and Naruto was impressed as hell. Naruto didn't have time for it though, and struck back, swinging a right hook, but Kid Flash turned intangible and let it pass through him before slamming a harsh uppercut to Naruto's chin. Naruto swung and kicked out at Kid Flash, who turned intangible again and let it pass through him before he went down and tripped Naruto's remaining standing leg out from under him and let Naruto start falling to the ground. Kid Flash was so fast, everything around him, as he seen, was moving in super slow motion, including Naruto falling, and he rolled forward under Naruto and slammed both legs up into Naruto's back, sending him flying up. Kid Flash ran up the nearest building and used an inside window seal to kick off of hard and slammed both heels hard against Naruto's stomach and sent him into the ground once more. To Naruto, he got tripped, kicked into the sky, and slammed into the ground at lightning speed, and looked in shock breathlessly. Kid Flash turned Naruto over and put his hands behind his back. I won't be underestimated by the likes of you. Naruto chuckled softly. You misunderstand. I may have underestimated you, but I never thought of you as a weakling to me. You earned my respect today, but like I told you, it is very important to let me be free, so I shall be free. Sorry, but I won't lose yet. Naruto used the suit's wrist's X-blade gauntlet to force Kid Flash to let go or else, and turned around fast, slamming both heels up into Kid Flash's chest. Kid Flash flew in the air, but before he could hit the ground, where his power could really be used, Naruto caught him by the legs and suddenly started slamming him up and down all over, into the ground, into the building, throwing him up, then grabbing him again and throwing him hard into the ground. Naruto kept pummeling Kid Flash through the air and into buildings and telephone poles till he finally slammed a fist into Kid Flash's face and knocking him out hard, Kid Flash hitting the ground with a big thwack. Naruto seen Cyborg, the only one else up from the Titans team, and threw a smoke bomb down, covering his escape as he ran with amazing speed out of there. Cyborg scoffed, seeing X escape, and gathered his team. He got them back to base, awaiting them to wake up. Naruto returned to his own base and seen everyone was okay, Blackfire and Mammoth still out like a light, Jinx though was shaking off a big headache. He narrowed his eyes. Gizmo. Gizmo straightened up, looking shocked that Naruto would be serious at a time like this. What is it, Naruto? Naruto threw the signal ball Lex gave him to Gizmo. Keep me informed for any frequency message the thing is supposed to receive. Because if I miss that thing's message when I am supposed to get it, then Jump is going to be a fucking crater. XXX Gotham Chronicles. Future Part 2 XXX. Terry came through the portal Raven created to send him back to his time, and seen Raven, the one from his present, standing in front of him. She is much more mature. Her skin was a little paler though, as if she hadn't gotten much light hitting her in a good while. Her costume was a bit changed as well, a raven on the front of the top and her cape were magical aura emitting raven feathers. He looked around. The portal worked then. I'm back in my own time. But why here? Raven lifted her hood from her head, her long purple-blue hair flowing out a bit. Because I was curious. Advice or not, I was not about to let simple advice stop me from knowing. When I was that young I was always trying to know more, not take things as they were at first. Terry looked confused. What are you talking about? You didn't send me here, your past self did. Why am I here in front of you, not in Gotham? Raven sighed. Because the spell I used requires me to be here in our present, the past me's future. If I was dead, or not me, then the spell would not have worked. Meaning because it worked, the past me knows that I will be alive and myself here in our present. Terry looked surprised a bit before frowning. Great, and the old man wanted to make sure nothing changed from last time, and he said you didn't, no. Raven chuckled lightly. Because I never spoke of it. The only reason I did the spell was to find out if I ever found a way to suppress my father's influence. When it took hold, and I came back, I thought it all over, so I just let it be a part of my past I let go. Terry nodded. So, I didn't change a thing. Raven shook her head. No. In fact, you kept everything the eye it was. Everything will happen as it is told in history. You may go now. Return to the old man. Give him my regards. Terry nodded when he suddenly had to duck, due to a fist coming for the back of his skull. A little girl barreled out of control and almost hit the wall of the room, a girl with black hair and purple eyes, frowning. Get away from mommy. Raven turned to her and came up, holding her. There, little Azaria, this man is no intruder, he is a guest. And will be leaving shortly. Why are you awake? I had helped you to be only moments ago. Azaria pouted. I had the dream again. My father flying into an exploding sun. Why do I keep having these dreams? Raven stalled a moment before kissing the girl's head. Just rest, I will explain tomorrow. Azaria held Raven back before floating off the bed. Terry looked to Raven. She is dreaming of him. Are you? Raven put her hood back on. I always do. He was my husband, my one constant, my heart's keeper. And he is still alive. Terry looked confused. I do not understand how he could be. He did disappear into a sun. But I will let you think on that. I have other matters on my mind. Take care of you, daughter. Terry walked off. He got in the Batmobile, which is provided thanks to Bruce, right outside a slightly rusted Titan's tower, and flew back to the Batcave in Gotham. As he got out, old Bruce was waiting in his chair. Terry took off his mask and frowned. That's it, how the hell did you not tell me any of this bullshit? First the fact I'm your fucking clone, and now you fail to mention me going to the past. Bruce narrowed his eyes. I did say keep your distance from Kitsune X last night. But then again, whether I said anything about it or not, you would still need to go into the past. Terry looked confused. What? Why? If I didn't go into the past, what? This world would be gone. Bruce took a deep breath. You don't realize it, but everything you gave advice for has made everyone involved in it become what you advised. You're angry about going to the past, when in fact it is because you gone into the past that everything that is in history has not changed a single second or event to something different. Who knows what would have happened if you hadn't gone to the past? You would have never existed. Perhaps I would be dead before I retired. Maybe Tim Drake would have had a better life with no Joker influence. Who knows? All I know is, you went back into the past, gave advice, and nothing has changed. Terry narrowed his eyes for a moment, digesting all that information. After a few moments he stood again. Fine. It was probably for the best, but you know what? I am getting sick and tired of your secrets. If you said I was to go into the past of all places, and that being there for the big blast from Kitsune X, I would have done it. You know I would have, because I trust you. Until you trust me, I will not be accepting anything else from you. I'm dying. Terry scoffed. Give me actual news, old man. Bruce narrowed his eyes. I mean, I am dying faster. The doctors gave me 6 months. 12 years ago, I was getting regular treatments to my illness, not my pills, but from someone with the ability to cure infected cells and prolong my life. Kitsune X was visiting me regularly, helping me survive so that I may continue helping you. Terry as shocked to learn all this. He was too stunned to say a word, but Bruce continued. I never saw you as a clone. In fact, even at first I may have only seen you as an ally, but one thing I have seen you as, and always will see you as till the day I die, is seeing you as my son. My first son, Dick Grayson, my second son, Damian Wayne, and my third son, you. All of you are so exceptional, and I care too much about all 3 of you to stop helping you in my own way. But now, with Kitsune X truly gone, I will die, and leave you to fend for yourself. I do not know how long till I finally have my life ended, it may be 2 years, or 2 months from now, but until I do die, I will share every secret I have with you. I pray that you do not hate me for it. Bruce activated a secret file that opened up tons of information. Training drills, strategies, history, everything. Terry looked shocked at all of it. He looked to Bruce, who closed his eyes. Terry knelt in front of Bruce and held his hand on his cane. You are a father to me. That's why I keep going. To help you, to make you proud. Even after all the times I messed up, I still only think one way, to make you proud. Forgive me for being such an idiot. Bruce put a hand on Terry's head. I won't forgive you, because you haven't actually done anything wrong to be forgiven of. Terry, you will do great things when I am gone. Make sure you hold that girl, Dana, close. If she truly is the one, then you deserve it. Have what I could not, and be better. Because you deserve better. With that, the two discuss the future, the unwritten future of Batman, and the future of the world he shall protect. Donna, Wonder Girl, groaned as she held her arm, bringing the team into the relaxation room. Connor, Superboy, was carrying Wally, Kid Flash, in behind him as well. And by the looks on the entire team's faces, they weren't exactly happy with the outcome. Starfire and Virgil, Static, flew in with Raven and Cyborg, Beast Boy behind them, and Starfire just sat in a huff. She wasn't very happy to see X get away. We finally hurt him, and he still gets away. How can he be this tough? She roared and blasted the window out with a raging star bolt. Donna put her hand on Starfire's shoulder. Easy. Look, we knew he was strong. He is stronger than we can imagine. The fact Kid Flash and Superboy managed to make him use one tail of that damn cloak alone, and breaking his back, is a testament that we are much stronger than he thought possible. The thing is, he also helped his own team grow to the point we are almost evenly matched. Starfire sighed heavily and sat down at the counter near the kitchen area. Still, I was hoping to finally catch him. We have worked harder than ever to match him, even Dr. Light is too scared to break out of prison now. Beast Boy grabbed an ice pack and held it to his back. Yeah, but we can't just go after X, we also have to take on his team. Star, if we all go after X, his team will still be stealing stuff, or they will interfere and make us separate to take them down. It's all we can do to take a few of them down. Virgil was helping Cyborg with the dented shoulder. Using a supercharged magnetism and a charge of static he dented the shoulder. Cyborg checked his systems after that, whilst Virgil also recharged the batteries. All systems clear, nothing's pinched or anything. Thanks, man. Donna, need me to update the system on the Pandora team. Donna sighed and started to get to her room to rest. If you're offering. But listen, anything going on you tell me, okay? We may be taken out a bit, but we are still capable of taking on anyone who thinks they can commit crimes. Connor let Kid Flash sit on the couch, and went to get something to drink. X isn't exactly subtle anymore. It was like he wanted us to catch him in the act. And he brought the entire team, not just a few. Raven noticed that too and turned to him, nodding. That is a strange thing, not to mention Jinx was tougher than normal. What it seemed like was a test. Connor sighed, grabbing a Coke. That's the thing. He said he was dragging his fight with me and Wally to let the other battles get finished first. Had a clone standing by watching until it was time. Beast Boy perked up at that. Hey, I got attacked by a clone. Out of nowhere I get hit. I thought it was one of the others, but it had to be the clone. Wally looked back at everyone. He said, I think, that he had gotten all the information about the other battles from one of his damn clones. Cyborg seen his power was good enough to get going for a while and got up, fist bumping Virgil. You're the best man. How's the leg? Virgil shrugged, smiling. Nothing I can't handle. Had worse before, just can't seem to stop getting hit. I can still fly though, and help whatever I can. Cyborg nodded and went to the computer, pulling up the files and started to update them. He looked back to Connor, who was checking over Raven's wounds. Yo, Connor, how's that bike handling? Connor looked up at Cyborg, having Raven the all clear. All that happened was a badly bruised chin, but nothing too severe, and being kicked in the stomach, but Raven said it was fine. Connor smiled at Cyborg. It's handling like a charm. You know your stuff, that's for sure. I never would have guessed the bike needed a dual exhaust, not a single. Raven got up and patted Connor's shoulder before walking off. Thanks, Connor. See you for the next lesson. Connor smiled as he looked to her. Looking forward to it. Can't believe I've got heat vision now. Raven had figured out that his telekinetic powers and his Kryptonian powers were connected, to the point that they don't just grow separately, but together. So as his tactile telekinetic field grows stronger, so does his Kryptonian powers, and vice versa. Virgil flew up to Wally and had the controllers for the game system fly over to them. I know what will make ya feel better, Speedster, race me one. Wally grabbed the thing and smirked as he selected the game on the screen. You betcha. If it's one thing I know, it's speed, and racing will be a great way to let off steam after that debacle. Starfire just stared at them. She sighed as she got up and flew to her room. Inside she sat on the bed, looking around. The team is doing well, better than expected, and friend Donna is an exceptional leader. But, I cannot help but feel left alone, without Robin. If only he could return, and everything will be alright. Starfire was on the verge of tears as she looked at the only picture of them she had together. She held it to her chest. Dick, I miss you so. Even if it is not as Robin, please return to us, so I can finally be happy that my greatest friend is by my side. A few tears formed and fell from her lashes as she felt the pain of losing a friend for so long. XXX Pandora HQXXX. Gizmo paled a bit, looking at the sphere in his hands. Lex, you have to be fucking kidding me. Naruto turned to him and groaned, taking his helmet off. No joke. If I don't get the signal that thing receives from Luthor, it's bye-bye Jump City. That building we were in was basically a disguised nuclear super bomb. I don't get the signal, boom. I try to leave, boom. Basically we got paid to do a job for him, and we are threatened to not refuse. Shigo looked horrified as she stared at him. You're not serious. Then why not have us run as fast as we can make it out and not be blown up. Naruto glared at her. You want the death of an entire city on your conscience, go ahead, but whether we run away from this or not, we can't escape. Lex is obviously gunning for us, and I doubt he is leaving any wiggle room to get away from. Look, all you have to do is stay put, enjoy the new stuff, and as soon as I get the call I rush to him and get the job done. Easy as pie. But if I don't get that signal, we can kiss our butts goodbye. Everyone was shaking. In disbelief, in horror, and uneasiness. It was a hard pill to swallow, that was for sure, but it was Blackfire who came up, grabbed the thing and started outside. Need it to gain a signal. It won't in here. I'll be a sentry. Naruto looked at her as Gizmo stopped her. Gizmo grabbed it back. Sorry. No can do. Naruto teleported back here using that damn yellow flash thing, for one purpose is to keep our base hidden. I'll work the thing to get the signal without letting Lex know where home base is. As he flew off, Jinx came up to Naruto. If you need any help, whatsoever, I will join you and help your work for Lex. Naruto nodded but looked over everyone. Listen up. Whatever I get called to do in Metropolis for Lex, I don't want any of you there beside me. That got everyone in a riot. Everyone before him was yelling at him in shock as to why he would risk being in Metropolis alone. He shouted them to be quiet before taking a deep breath. Listen, carefully. Whilst all of you are getting very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, some of you even stronger than you can imagine have been before I even tried to train you all, one thing is for certain. None of you are capable of facing off against the biggest hero of all. Superman could wipe you all out pretty easily. Not to mention his partners, Power Girl and Supergirl. Hell, Superboy is a heavy hitter already and he's not nearly as good as either of them. He set his helmet on the table. If things get nasty, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I got you guys in over your head to the point you'd be locked up in a prison I cannot get you out of. It's just safer for me to go it alone. I haven't even begun to show my true strength, so I at least have a chance to stand up to the super squad. Blackfire frowned. Hey, I have the kryptonite helping me regain my powers, I could help out. Naruto sighed at that. I understand you have their weakness, as well as the fact you are super strong, durable and fast. However, one thing I also understand is that we have no idea how effective that shit will be against them. Think about it. If kryptonite was so effective, wouldn't Lex and a few dozen other criminals attempt their hand at taking Superman out? Even if it weakens them, they aren't so easy to beat even with their weakness driving them back. That got everyone thinking. It was true. Superman faced off against Metallo hundreds of times, and his heart is made of kryptonite, making Metallo a guaranteed winner against Superman. However, that was not the case. It was opposite. Naruto put a hand on Private Hive's shoulder. I need you to give me a list of every single one of Superman's rouges. He turned to everyone else. I am going to give you guys every single ounce of training possible so when I go, you guys can go and steal whatever you want whilst I am gone. Till then, we were successful today so rest up. He kisses Jinx's cheek and went to see Gizmo. As he came in, Gizmo was already setting up something. Either you figured something out, or you are trying to figure it out. Gizmo scoffed. Lex is a genius. There's no way I can just build something to get the signal without him bugging us, so of course I am trying to figure it out. So, what you need? Besides me doing this? Naruto nodded and came up. When you are done with this, I need every single blueprint of every single building in Metro, ready to be put in the HUD of my helmet so whatever I have to do for Lex, I can be as stealthy as possible. Gizmo zapped the table and set a fire, screaming in shock as he did and Naruto put it out quickly. Gizmo looked to Naruto as if he grew an extra head. You nuts. You realize how many buildings are in Metro? It's 100 times what we got here in Jump, and you want me to get it all ready for input to your helmet's HUD. Naruto sighed at that. If you can't do it fine, but if I don't know everything about Metro, Hive is getting the rouges list by the way, then I am screwed over by those super assholes. Gizmo looked at Naruto a moment before groaning in frustration. Crud. Damn it all, fine. I'll see what I can do. Seriously, do you really think this is best? To just be Lex Luthor's lackey for an indefinite amount of time when he calls? Naruto groaned himself, shrugging. I'm not sure at all, but it's either this, or bomb explodes, and it's not like I have any other choice, so yay. This is the best option, so I have to go through with it. Gizmo sighed at that but nodded. I understand, but still. It's crazy how he even found out about you. Naruto nervously rubbed the back of his head. Let's just say I made a small mistake on my escape. I forgot about the window sensors and activated a camera that caught me on my way out. Gizmo gawked at Naruto in surprise. Naruto sighed heavily at that and Gizmo ranted on how he shouldn't have been caught, no matter what. After explaining how it was possible and why, Naruto went off to get some shut-eye. He didn't know how long till the call came in, but he wasn't gonna just stand on end till it rang. XXX 2 months later XXX. To say Pandora was inactive was both accurate and inaccurate at the same time. Criminal activity may have stopped until further notice, but their training was pushed to a whole new level under Naruto. Gizmo finally managed to get everything done. Hell, he got the little ball to receive signals after 2 days of no sleep. The day was starting to draw to a close, the sun still up but almost going to set along the shoreline. That was when the little ball in Naruto's room, in a secret container that could allow the signal in without interruption, suddenly screamed out in alarm. He rushed in and opened the container inside the wall and got in, picking the thing up. He pressed this button that appeared on top of it and the small object started shifting around until it was a small platform in his hand. The four corners shone lights and the lights combined to show a holographic head of Lex Luthor. I see, even though I couldn't locate the sphere, you were always watching. I suppose you didn't want me knowing your base of operations. Fine by me, as long as you do me that favor. Naruto nodded. Name it, let me get it done, and our business concludes. I would rather Metropolis not lie in a crater. Lex chuckled at that. Whilst Superman has the ability to do just that, he's too much of a Boy Scout to actually go through with that to stop anyone. Naruto frowned. He might have to go through with it to stop me. I'm pretty damn strong myself. I may not look it, but if I can take all the Titans alone, considering their growth so far, I think I will be hitting Superman quite hard. Now, give me every detail, and don't you dare hold back a single one. I get this done for you, you come out on top, and we end this bomb threat. Lex nodded, smiling intensely. Good to know we are on the same page. Now, here is what I need you to do. XXX the next morning XXX. Naruto was suited up and ready to go, inputting everything into his HUD. Superman's abilities so far, his villains, and lastly Metropolis inside and out. He went into the main room and seen everyone waiting for him. Naruto sighed as he came up to them. I will return, so don't look worried. As long as I am as stealthy as possible, Superman won't touch me. It's a simple snatch and deliver and I am on my way back instantly. I may have made a mistake that led to this, but I am not about to make another. Jinx ran up and hugged him tightly. Just be careful, you idiot. If you get caught or worse, I won't be able to live with myself knowing I couldn't help you when you were in Metropolis, or can't help you get out of it. Naruto hugged her back and smiled. I know. But don't worry, I will return. I'm Naruto, Kitsune X, I can't be beat. And, I love you too, Jinx. He let her hold him till she felt ready to let go for him to leave. After a few hugs and handshakes and saying, see you soon, a lot, he was off. He teleported away with his Hiraishin, as the orb he was given to by Lex was with him. He was told to bring it back. XXX Titans Tower XXX. Ha! A harsh yell and pounding thud resonated the training room, as Starfire and Donna were sparring together. Right now, Donna was showing some new moves and managing to finally get to Starfire's new level of development. Starfire was on the ground as Donna pinned her and twisted her arm, shortly after tossing her to said ground. Beast Boy was trying to up his speed as a wolf on the treadmill, hoping to outdo the beast he chose, all whilst watching Cyborg lift the heavy lifting machine he created for himself that gave heavier loads, currently twice the amount of weight he was able to do when facing Atlas in the past. Virgil and Wally were trying a new combination run, where Virgil supercharged Wally's ability to run faster, and it was working as Wally was flying around so fast he was a blur everywhere in a single second. Raven was meditating as usual, but as she did she was lifting heavier object that she placed around her, even one of Superboy's heaviest weights. Connor himself was practicing some new martial arts moves he was learning from the web, hoping to get a little more skill under his belt as a fighter. Just then, however, an alarm went off in the tower, and that got everyone's attention real quick. This alarm wasn't the usual alarm, it was the new one they had made a good while back to determine when Kitsune X or his team were doing anything at all. They ran into the control room, and turned the computer's alarm off, checking the new information. What happened was not what they expected. A simple message popped up, but it was one everyone was in awe at. Kitsune X has been seen coming into the city limits of Metropolis. Turn around, and meet the new me. Nightwing. The Titans all turned, and their looks of shock and surprise were pretty self-explanatory, as a well-toned individual was leaning against the wall right beside the door. His suit was dark, but not pitch black, and it looked to have armor on it of some kind, some very visible on his shoulders and chest, even his legs and arms. The individual also had a symbol on his chest, a blue-winged bird, and the tips of the wings went up and arched over his shoulders, and behind him in a blue V, but at the shoulders the blue line went down both arms all the way and covered the middle and ring fingers of the man's hand. This man had dark hair that was a bit messy, but had an organized combed look, a bit spiky but let down a bit, almost to his shoulders. The man smiled as his bird-like mask that was over his eyes clearly showing his need to keep his identity a secret. The man rose a hand up as to say hello. Long time no see. It's good to be back. Everyone suddenly ran up to him, but it was Starfire who flew at him first and gripped him in a very tight hug, which she made sure not to crush him with, but kept tight. Nightwing hugged back and smiled. Missed you too, Star. She was crying as she held him tight, and Nightwing let her down. As she collected herself she let go so the others could hug him and shake his hand. Even with the new costume and everything, his new height, he was still Dick, the former Robin, to them. They let him go and he came up to the counter of the kitchen and put a box on it. He looked to everyone. When I left, I took off my old costume, removing the mantle as Robin. However, I return to you as a new hero. You can call me Nightwing. But whatever name I call myself, I will always be a friend to you all. I actually, on my travels, found some interesting items, made some as well, and as my welcoming home gift, I will give the team what I made for them. Helping you guys and making you all happy is what I live for. He reached into the box and pulled out a pair of shoes, tossing them to Wally. I had a talk with the original Flash, the retired one. He gave me the amount of friction needed to stop running at super speeds without slipping or sliding. You always did have that problem, Wally. These shoes have a super gripping bottom with padded soles to keep your feet protected as well as able to make your ability to stop much greater. Also, love the new look, a little armor goes a long way. Wally smirked as he tried them on and ran around at super speed down the hall and back, stopping instantly without sliding much at all. Wow, I can't believe you made these, cool. Thanks man. Nightwing nodded and threw Connor a jacket with a modified S shield on the back. It had a blue lining for the shield and the S but also a blue background in the shield. The blue also was glazed in a way, so when Connor moved it would shine and ripple like water. He put it on and it fit comfortably, but he noticed something with his multiple visions. Is this steel? Nightwing smirked playfully. Close the jacket and press the S shield on the chest. As Superboy did, the whole jacket suddenly jutted armor through creases that were unseen by normal eyes till now and the blue scales of the armor contorted just right for maximum flexibility, and the front even portrayed the S shield like on the chest of his shirt. I thought I'd give you a little extra protection against anything non-physical, like magic. It's got special runes I had Zatanna come up with on my travels. She made it so it had a magical resistance, but also, seeing as it uses magic, it has a special seal on the inside that would stop the magic of the jacket from doing any harm to you. Nightwing pressed a small button on the cuff of the sleeve near Connor's hand, and the armor collapsed back into the jacket, as if it wasn't even part of the jacket. Connor smiled sighed. You're always looking out for your friends, not gonna change even with a name transition I see, that's good to know. Nightwing nodded and threw Beast Boy a white costume with red stripes down the sides, which had a different color scheme of his black and purple from the Doom Patrol. Nightwing smiled. It's got a very unique spell enchantment with it. See, when you change into an animal, the cloth will become armor along the body of the animal you pick, it's essentially able to shape shift just the same as you. I thought you'd enjoy the color scheme as well. Beast Boy grinned and was tugging on the fabric as he tried to see how durable it was. Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait to see how good it really is when I change into a cheetah, dude. He nodded and tossed another item to Cyborg. You may want to take a look at the contents before thinking it's too small a present. Cyborg looked at it real quick. It was a disc. He hummed and plugged it into his head. His circuitry flashed and he was standing tall in shock, as for a moment his whole body lit up a bit. As it died down he smirked, griping his fists. Whoa yeah, that's the stuff. How'd you figure my systems would need a boost? This thing just enhanced my power systems. Enhancing the processing speed of my cybernetic implants and using less power from my battery, both just walking around and using my sonic cannon. I don't know how you did it, but this is the best thing I could imagine happening. Nightwing chuckled at that. Thought that would work. Actually, I had a little help from a guy the first met along my journey. Turns out his name is Steel, and part of the League. Said he knew everything about cybernetics and how it all worked, so I asked for help making something to help you out. He chucked another item Static's way. You always seem to get knocked out of the sky and not have your flying disc on hand. This will help you out. Static caught the boots given to him and he looked a little confused. Nightwing grinned. Charge them with your electromagnetism. Put them on, feet together, and put a charge through them, you will see. Static quickly changed to the new boots and put a charge through them with his feet together, and he seen in wonder as the boots made half discs together before turning and clicking locked. Static shifted his feet along the line of the half discs and seen he could shift his stance along it just fine without any trouble. That's amazing. How you managed to make these I don't know, but they are wicked man, thanks a lot. Nightwing tossed him a thick fabric of some kind and Static looked confused, but seen Nightwing had that same wide grin. He wondered if this worked the same way. He held the end of it and out a charge through it, only for everyone and himself to look amazed as the fabric went taut and ramrod straight into a staff, and Nightwing grinned more. Static pulled the charge back and rolled it up, looking at it in his hand. Okay, this is officially the greatest gift ever. I never even knew this material existed. Nightwing nodded and tossed Starfire a pair of gauntlets. She looked in surprise. What are these for? Nightwing smiled wide. Put them on, and you will see. She nodded and did, the purple-colored gauntlets fitting snugly on her arms and hands. She clenched her fists and seen it didn't make any of her movements sluggish. Nightwing fished the box and she seen a small target plate. Nightwing stepped back a few steps and held it up. Fire. Starfire nodded and aimed one hand up, charging her star bolt. She seen the gauntlet radiate energy along the arm of it but ignored it, and fired. With amazing speed and power the star bolt hit the plate and blasted it to pieces without hurting Nightwing, and she looked shocked. Nightwing came up to her. They amplify your power. I had help from Steel in making them. They take your genetic powers and amplifies the speed and power in which you use them, making you a much tougher ranged fighter. How do you like them? Starfire smiled brightly and hugged Nightwing close. I love them, thank you. Anything you give to me I will enjoy and keep. As you see, I wear your old cape, and it's helped me quite a few times. Nightwing hugged her back and smiled, nodding. I see that. I have one more gift to give, so, give me a moment. She nodded and let him go. He didn't reach into the box, but rather he went to a package on the ground by the door he forgot to bring over and he tossed it to Donna, who caught it effortlessly. She opened the package and looked in awe. She picked up a big black shield that was round and had silver linings on it, looking like the night sky alone the shining face of the shield. And along the edges of the round shield were runes she knew to be ancient Greek, but nothing she ever found on the Amazon home island. She hooked it on her arm and picked up the second part of the gift, a strange one at that, as it was hammer. The hammer had an ornate handle to it, gold and black, and wrapped in leather in a small spiral to the top. The top of the hammer was most strange. It was steel, as far as she could guess, with runes of magic all over it. It looked like a bludgeon or sledge-headed hammer. Nightwing came up to her. The shield itself is like the ones used by the Spartans, I think. Best shield in history. Thing is, I found this during my travels. Some old man I trained with told me he knew a better use for it, giving it to someone I knew. He shown it was completely bulletproof as well, so it works. The hammer, as you see, is very ornate. It has runes of magic on it to protect it from anything, so it's indestructible, and it's got a striking resemblance to the books I read, as Thor's hammer. I thought it would make a good present. Donna smiled brightly and nodded. Thank you. Though, Thor's hammer is even more ornate than this one, and has exceptionally greater power. This will do, though, for me. Thank you. Nightwing nodded. He seen Raven sulk a bit and out to the hall. He turned to everyone. Be right back everyone. Gotta talk to Raven. Enjoy and talk amongst yourselves, I will be right back. He booked it to the hall and the door shut. He caught up to Raven as she reached her door and stopped her. I didn't want to let the others know about the one secret we have. Raven, I also got you a gift, but it would have scared everyone to know what it was. It's on your bed, go look. Raven opened her door and seen a decent-sized book. She went and lifted it up, as Nightwing leaned on the door frame, waiting. She brushed the dust off a bit and looked at it, then her eyes went wide. Azarath. The book of my home, everything about it. And the secret too. She opened it and gasped, slapping her hand over her mouth. She looked to Nightwing, and he smiled. Nightwing walked up to her, putting a hand on her shoulder. When we first put this team together, you took me aside one day and told me about him. Your father. You told me that he would come to Earth and destroy the universe, stopping at nothing to conquer. I did more reading, and found this book. Actually, it happened to be part of a sacred library of Dr. Fate's, and he accepting me having it. I know you are afraid of him, your dad. But this book will help you control him, to make his influence of you nothing but a small voice in your head you can make shut up. I got you this book because I know how much you like reading, and this is about your home. I got this because I care about you, you are my friend, and I would never leave you left without a single thing. We will stop him, and everything will be okay. He smiled at her and Raven smiled back, hugging him suddenly. Thank you, Nightwing, you are a true friend. Nightwing nodded and he left the room. He turned to her. Put it up and get back in the main room. I have an announcement to make. And he walked out. Raven smiled and held the book close. You are a true friend. Thank you. She put it up and rushed back out, and seen everyone gathered around him and the computer as he pulled something up, an image. Nightwing sighed. X is in Metropolis. And he is doing something for Lex Luthor, or so it seems. He went into Lex Corp's main office and there wasn't even a sound of an alarm. Meaning he is working with Lex. Since X is our problem, we are going to go and back up Superman on this. We know the tricks X uses, so it will be better for us to give chase. I know how you feel about this, Connor. You have the choice to stay. Connor looked at Nightwing, and thought about it. He sighed heavily. If it's for the team, and helping catching X, then I will go. But I don't feel like talking to the big guy yet. Me and him are having a bit of a hard time understanding each other. Nightwing nodded. Understood. Titans, move out. We don't have time to sit back and wait for him to mess around with Metropolis on Luthor's orders. We have to go and find him now, before things get ugly. Everyone got ready, making sure their gifts were ready for their newest task ahead of them. Nightwing smiled wide. Good to be back. XXX Metropolis, 11 at night on top of Lex Corp. XXX. Naruto was standing on the tip of the spire adorning the skyscraper known as Lex Corp. He had been in this building once before, but this time he had to go inside to speak to Lex. Thing is, his meeting with Lex wasn't exactly clarifying to his task. An hour earlier he had reached the building and went inside, and as Lex shown him around, he was being told what he was being shown, not why he was here. Lex brought him into the main office finally and sat down, and asked him to do the same. Naruto stood still and sighed. No, I think I will stand on this one. Just tell me why I am here, Lex. You needed a favor, I want it over with. Lex smiled wide. Good to see you are to the point on business. Thing is, this is rather difficult to understand. I need you to steal something for me. Naruto resisted the urge to fall on his face anime style from the declaration. He was stoic and rigid, and his voice cracked as he looked as if Lex had grown a second head. Why, you're joking, right? You don't need me to create a distraction for Blue Boy. Don't need me to, say, take out the police force here and disappear so I am chased around whilst you do what you need to do. You don't need to use me for an experiment, you just want me to use my talents as a thief. Lex leaned back in his chair, smiling as he nodded. Yes, just steal something for me and you will hear from me no more. Naruto looked skeptical and crossed his arms over his chest. Alright, I will bite on this lure with bait. What is so important you need me to steal it and you aren't able to? Lex smirked. Oh, I could, but I've been getting some bad PR lately. My company is losing a bit of stock, so if I get caught as the one who stole this item, I will have to work harder than ever to make the public happy. So, I bring you in, so I do not get placed in the blame game. Keeping my company out of the line of fire, and getting what I want, I come out on top. Naruto sighed heavily and rubbed his face mask as if it were his head. Okay then, sounds logical I guess. What's the item, and where? Lex grinned wider as he leaned forward, his elbows on his desk with his hands in front of his face. What I need you to steal for me is quite valuable, so the only way you can complete it is if you do not get caught. The item in question is not from Earth, it was found in a wreckage that Superman himself kept from everyone's. I know he is hiding it within the city, but it's heavily fortified. I need you to go to the Metropolis Science Police HQ, the 8th Precinct. In a vault several stories underground holds the item in question. You get this for me, you can go home to Jump City and will never hear from me again, and in a week's time that bomb of a building I placed shall be removed. Naruto stood for a while. H sighed and turned, walking off. It'll take me 3 days. If they move it I will grab it instantly, if they don't then the 3 days will be productive to not get caught. Understood. He looked back to Lex before crossing through the open door. Lex smiled, nodding. I'll accept that. Happy hunting. Naruto nodded back and walked out. Now he was on the spire at the top of the building, looking over Metropolis. Alright, so, steal this item and be done with it. Simple enough. As long as the Titans don't know I am here, I won't have any trouble during the 3 days I am stuck in Metropolis. He leapt off the building and went into an alleyway, making sure no one was watching as he took his costume off and put tea in a scroll. He walked down the streets and towards the Science Police station. Time for some low-profile recon. What he didn't know, however, was that his first visit to Metropolis wouldn't be an easy one. It would be the toughest 3 days he would ever have in this city. And unfortunately for him, his hope for the Titans not being on his tail in this city was ill-placed, because they were already on their way to find and catch him. Clark Kent, aka Superman, was currently in his fancy apartment taking of his tie as he was relaxing from a hard day's work. He sighed suddenly. Bruce, we talked about this. You can't just hide in a corner and wait for me to return just to tell me how I should be spending my downtime. Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, walked from the kitchen and held his glass of wine. You at least have been getting a new taste in wine. And I didn't sneak in or hide. You just didn't know I was here until you heard me close your fridge. Clark turned to see Bruce, and was a little puzzled by that, seeing as the sun was already coming down. You're not in uniform. Care to explain why? You've been more uptight lately. It isn't your style to be laid back like this. Bruce looked at Clark with a blank stare. I'm always on alert, but that doesn't mean I have to enter this room as Batman. I have news. A certain thief is in town. He wasn't subtle about arriving here. Clark threw his tie to the side. And your point is, you shouldn't be here. This isn't your city to protect. I thought you made yourself clear that you didn't want anyone messing around in Gotham when you were working, and you wouldn't chase any rogues around our neighborhoods. Bruce nodded. And I'm not. I am here not to chase him, but to warn you of him. This thief is not your typical thief. That got Clark's attention. When Bruce breaks his own rule to warn someone, it's always best to listen. If you are this uptight about him, then he must be something other than just a thief. What? Terrorist? Meta-human disaster about to roam free? Bruce drank his wine and sighed. Neither. He is just a thief. All he does is steal, and defend himself when attacked. He looks out for collateral damage which make him way less evil than your normal meta-human disasters. He had the strength to take out Killer Croc with ease, Bane and Poison Ivy as well, and he was even beating me in pure hand-to-hand combat. That opened Clark's eyes, as he remembered when Bruce told of Kitsune X. You mean he is here? Why? Bruce shook his head. I can't say for certain, but it seems like he wanted to be found out. He left a calling card after beating on a gang of thugs in Gotham, and when I investigated, it led me straight to Metropolis. He is more careful than that. He wouldn't come to Gotham to beat a gang of thugs then jump here without a reason. Clark nodded. I see, so you came to warn me he is here, huh? Any reason why? If he starts any trouble, I shouldn't have too much trouble with him. You may be skilled, but from what you said he only uses physical prowess, and if he can't keep you down then he can't bring me down. Bruce frowned at that, narrowing his eyes. I am only a human, not some alien who has special powers here, so my ability to fight you on equal terms is nothing to raise your nose at. Besides, he is capable of much more than hand-to-hand combat. He's shown the ability to increase his speed and strength indefinitely. The Titans. They've been trying to bring him down for a good year now, not once have they succeeded. Clark was about to say something when his door opened, and a young man with a messy hairstyle walked in. Richard, you're back awfully early. You told me you were going to be here tomorrow. Dick looked to Bruce and narrowed his eyes a bit before calming down, looking softer. It's been a while, Bruce. How's your new adopted son? Bruce looked to Clark and hummed. Why is he here, Clark? Clark tossed his tie away, sighing. Dick came to me for advice. After you took away his mask, he was out of options. He had to go and find a new path that didn't involve you. How could you, Bruce? Dick isn't in Gotham because you can't see past your own mistakes, and taking your own anger out on him for no reason is not something I would consider you to do. He was your partner, and you threw him aside for someone else without hesitation. Dick took a deep breath. You're one to talk, Clark. Connor isn't happy about how you two dealt with your issues. So it's kind of hard to say you were better for it. But you did help me find my own path, and gave me a new mask to wear. For that I thank you. But I may need to use it officially tonight, because Kitsune X, the one I talked about, is here, in Metropolis. Clark looked to Dick and nodded. Bruce was just telling me about that. He tells me I should be careful and not underestimate him. Dick looked to Bruce and nodded. Guess you are worried too. But seeing as you and Clark aren't in good terms about who you go after and where, you can't help him. I can. Thanks for coming, but it's under control. Bruce finished his wine and set the glass down. As he was about to leave the apartment he looked back to them. Everyone needs direction in their lives. You needed your own path, not one in my shadow. So I took away your small wings, and hoped you would get bigger ones. Someone else needs guidance in Gotham, so I chose to give him a path as well. The only path I knew was the one I gave you, back when you were still a child. You are no longer that child, so you should no longer need the mask I rid you of. If that is why you hate me, then hate me. But I hope in time you will see. I only did it for your own good. Bruce left without hesitation, and Dick just stood there, slightly confused, but also surprised. Bruce was not one to talk very much, and he just gave a short speech to him, not to mention one that could be seen as advice. Bruce never gave him advice on anything but fighting. Clark looked out the window and gasped, seeing a familiar jump from one building to the next, and turned to Dick. You brought him along here, Connor. Dick nodded, turning to him and crossing his arms. He only agreed to come here if I told you not to get near him. He doesn't want you lecturing him anymore. I can't blame him. Clark sighed, looking back out and sadly. I never meant for him to think I was trying to lecture him, or tell him what he is doing wrong. I guess I always expected he would grow out of being reckless. Dick sighed. Being reckless is what younger people do. Even when Robin, and as a force to be reckoned with in Gotham, I was reckless. I acted brashly, and I know that it was not really a good idea sometimes, but the difference was that I didn't want to be known as the next Batman. Being under the shadow of someone widely known can have that effect on you. You want to help, you want to do good, but the one you have similarities to will always overshadow anything you do. Clark looked to Dick with a stern look. That isn't our faults. We don't have any control over how the population sees us. Batman and me may not agree with each other, but we know we are both needed. We are both needed to do what we do, and show what we believe. It's how it is. I grew up with nothing, no one to show me how my powers worked. I grew up with this power, born with it, and no one to teach me to control it. I had to will myself to control it, and that is thanks to my parents. My Earth parents, my real parents. All I wanted to do was give Connor what I couldn't have back then. Dick came up and put a hand on Clark's shoulder. Truthfully, this was about Connor, not about their attitude towards each other. Dick and Clark were actually friends. Dick nodded as he gripped Clark's shoulder. I know. But here's some advice, give him distance. He needs to learn to grow himself, like you did. As did I. I grew up the last year, training, finding out why I even wanted to become Robin. Why I ever wanted to be under Batman's wing. I found my peace. And you helped give me a path, something to live up to that was my own. Someday, Connor will be known for his own deeds, not yours. That is what he needs, and wants. Clark nodded, turning and smiling weakly as he put a hand on Dick's shoulder. I guess. Still, I wish I could apologize. Maybe I can get a chance later, but only if he is willing to hear it. Thanks, Dick. Or should I say, Nightwing now. Dick smirked and gave a small jab. You know the rules. Mask with the mask, truth with the truth. Right now, I'm Dick Grayson. Soon, tonight, I will be Nightwing. Clark chuckled before H turned to get something to eat. Dick looked out the window, looking at the sky as it was starting to get dark. My peace. XXXXXXXXX. Naruto was sitting in an apartment he paid for, and looked out the window towards the precinct. So, no activity. Nothing coming or going. It's as if nothing is going to happen. But, the real problem is getting in. This place is practically impenetrable. Actual magic barriers. How do I get past those? Not to mention magical alarms, seeing them alone is going to be heck. I had them going around like nuts with a few false alarms. Thank goodness for shadow clones. Before he could make another to send in, he got a call on his phone, and answered it. I'm guessing my public name and address is yours now. On the other line was Lex Luthor. I'm getting impatient. Are you going to steal it or not? I gave you a job to do, and you haven't budged. I hear you haven't even left your apartment, and there were several false alarms in the place to take advantage of. Naruto sighed. Those false alarms are my attempts to scope out the place. I attempted a few entries secretly, but none ever worked. The place is heavy, magic and technology working together is a hard fight. I'm not going in quiet, like I hoped, so just be ready. Tonight I jump in and take your damn prize and get out. It'll be loud, and Superman may be on me before I can get back to you, so just hold on till I give you a call. I can face the big guy, but it'll take everything to do so and still give you your package. Lex hummed angrily, but patiently, sighing. Fine, I guess you're good to go. Just remember, if you don't get me that package, Jump City and all your friends will be ash. Now get it to me, and fast. Naruto hung up on Lex and sighed. Damn, he's a vicious bastard. I said I'd get it done by tomorrow, and I'm gonna get it done by tomorrow. I might as well try it tonight. As Naruto went back to the window, he looked a bit surprised, looking closely at the new activity down below. Naruto smirked. Well, now, this is interesting. Superboy is here in Metropolis. The Titans must have gotten on my trail somehow. Whoever found out, I should give a prize to. Naruto hummed as he thought for a moment. If the Titans are here, then it means this just got more complicated. I need a new strategy. I can't barge in now, I have to plant kunai. 100 clones should be able to break in with ease. Take out the guards, break down walls, enter the chamber, and set a kunai. As soon as they set it, I am in, grab the thing, and get out. I'll need a root of kunai out of the place. Best time to do this is before sunrise. Superman will be at his weakest and can't regenerate energy using the sun. Thank you Gizmo for that piece of info, otherwise I'd have a harder time. Naruto pulled his scroll from his bag and opened it up, unsealing his Kitsune X armor. Time to dress up. He got ready and grabbed several Hiraishin kunai. Time to tell Lex and give him a kunai. Not like he can use the damn thing, it's only to my signature, from my world. With that, he left the apartment, smirking as he did. XXXXXXXXX. It was 2 in the morning, and Nightwing was in full uniform and fully equipped. He felt off tonight, as if something very bad was going to happen. As he jumped from building to building, he got a communication from Raven. Go ahead. Raven spoke dryly. I don't suppose you can tell us what Kitsune X is even here for. You only told us he came here to help Lex Luthor with something. Nightwing flipped up on a higher roof and landed in a crouch. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is he is here working for Lex, and Batman even came to warn Superman of the same thing. We don't know why, but Kitsune X is going to strike, and soon. Besides, I can't get rid of this feeling something very bad is going to happen soon. That got Starfire's attention. What do you mean? Kitsune X has never been one for any real disaster. Beast Boy's growl echoed a bit before he spoke normally. He changed from some predator cat to normal for this to happen. Yeah, I mean, sure, he's always been dangerous in a fight, and we never caught him, but he's never been one for major destruction unless it's against something like that ice golem a year back. No collateral damage and all. Nightwing started running again, this time jumping from his current roof and activating his glider. 2 rods snapped from his side to his arms and he closed his legs together, 2 large cloth pieces catching the air under him and let him glide forward. I don't know, but something tells me Kitsune X is in the middle of something big, and I don't think we will like how big it is going to be. Nightwing landed and sighed. Just keep checking for him. If he's here, we need to catch onto him before he does anything. Whether it's minor theft, or something disastrous, he is here for a reason, and we need to keep anything he does from happening. After a confirmation he started walking through the ports. It was closed off during Lex Luthor's smuggling ring, though no evidence was found. With it being so quiet, Nightwing figured Kitsune X might find some kind of base of operations here, or at least a way to get away from the noise of the city. As he was walking past a few crates he stopped. With a deep breath he reached up and behind him, grabbing his Eskrima sticks. Come on out. You've been following me since I landed. Naruto stepped from the shadows of the crates and chuckled, leaning against them. Well, truth be told I seen you here and hid. So, new hero in town. Never heard of anyone in black and blue. Nightwing turned, having a playful little smirk. If you want that, then it'll be you at some point tonight. Naruto whistled, looking a bit impressed. Well, damn, someone who knows how to joke. I might actually like to play around with you a bit. So, what's your name? Batman version 2.0. That bird on your chest isn't like a bat, but a winged mammal symbol with black uniform. Come on. Nightwing turned to Naruto, presenting the blue bird symbol on his chest, the wings raising up to his shoulders, where they fell back in a V on his back, as well as continuing blue lines down the arms, all the way down to the fingers, only the ring and middle were blue. Nightwing flipped his Eskrima from facing forward, to facing backward. My name is Nightwing. Naruto raised a brow at this. Nightwing. Huh, catchy. I'm Kitsune X. Yes, I know this very well. Master thief, powerful martial artist, but with a metahuman power unlike anyone has ever seen. Some kind of red power that turns into a cloak of energy, shaping into a fox itself. Nightwing started walking around Naruto a bit, putting Naruto directly between him and the metal container behind him. A cloak that can have multiple tails, maybe. Like the Japanese myth, the 9-tailed fox. You hardly use it, however, but you seem to use it when you need a boost to fight more powerful opponents. You normally use hand-to-hand combat skills, maybe a sword or two. Let's not forget you have an assortment of gadgets, with a trademark X for them. Naruto was impressed, but he felt like Nightwing was familiar with him. Something about Nightwing made him think of Robin, but that was impossible. Robin vanished a year ago. Maybe that is all true. But how do you know all this? The only one who can know me this well is Chuckles. That's what I call him, but his real alias was. Naruto stopped and looked wide-eyed, as Nightwing pulled a kunai from his belt. It was the same one he had, tri-pronged with a seal on the handle, but it was blue, not yellow, and the writing was way different. No way. Nightwing smirked and let the kunai fall, sinking itself in the ground. My former alias was Robin. Nice to see you again, X. Naruto narrowed his eyes, feeling this was serious, and stood up straight. So, You went and changed your name to Nightwing. Now I'm curious. Naruto looked to the kunai. How could you change my seal? It's unique to my signature, to my blood, to my energy. Nightwing gripped his Eskrima and smiled playfully. Well, it wasn't easy. I had some help. It's amazing what a little magic can do if you know who to look to for help. Now, it's unique to mine. Naruto stayed still, processing that. Sure, the seal could change, maybe it could be unique to another, but the whole process of the kunai had to involve chakra, and this world didn't have active chakra like his world did. You may have it unique to you now, but you still can't use it. Activating it is more than just unique to a single person. Nightwing suddenly stormed Naruto, coming up fast, making Naruto surprised at how Nightwing was so fast against him, and came up to block the punch Nightwing was starting to swing to his face. Just as Naruto was about to block the punch, and the fist was about to connect to his block, a blue flash caught his eye, and suddenly Nightwing was no longer in front of him swinging a fist. Naruto looked at Nightwing standing in a ready position right on top of the kunai. Naruto was stunned. You learned how to perform the Harishin. Nightwing smiled. If that is what you call it. But truthfully I had to work hard to even do it. I was told it needed a special energy to work, so I went around trying to find a way to use this technique of yours. Finally, I had my chakras open thanks to some monks I met in India, and I finally felt it, the first jolt of this technique. Ever since, I have been practicing to use it. That was 3 months ago. Naruto gripped his fists. Nightwing saw this and got ready for the attack, but after a few seconds, he heard a soft chuckle. Naruto was shaking as he started to chuckle louder, laughing as he raised his head and putting his hand on his head. You remind me much like myself now. Ha 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 ha. Naruto started to settle down before getting into fighting stance. I should be pissed, mad that you would degrade my technique and use it against me, when you should not even have been able to comprehend it. But to tell you the truth, I am glad. I feel honored that I made someone so driven to perform the technique that they would leave and go through whatever hell you went through to do it. Nightwing smiled proudly. To tell you the truth, knowing I make you proud feels good. Nightwing frowned and narrowed his eyes, turning serious. But you are still a criminal. And whatever business you have with Lex Luthor is finished now. Naruto ran forward and sent a kick at Nightwing, a snap to the side of him, but Nightwing ducked under it, flipping back and snapping his legs up, kicking at Naruto's chest. Naruto looked shocked to see this as Nightwing flipped backwards and sent a double heel kick into his stomach, and sent Naruto back into the crates behind him. Naruto hit them slightly and just landed on his feet, looking unfazed, but felt like he got hit by a bus. Naruto looked up to Nightwing, who lowered his stance, a single Eskrima in front of him along his arm, and the other behind him facing forward. Naruto brushed off his chest and smirked. A year and you can fight like that. Damn, I wish Batman ruined your life earlier. And you got smarter, more observant. How did you know I came here for Lex? As Naruto raced forward, Nightwing rose up with a roundhouse kick to Naruto's head. Naruto ducked under it, but Nightwing was prepared, hopping off his grounded leg and spinning, sending a heel up at Naruto and swinging his Eskrima outward. Naruto backed off from the rising foot, and barely dodged it, the wind pushing the mask to his face. He was so close, and tried to swing to the left to dodge the Eskrima, but it poked right into his shoulder, and the real strike happened. Nightwing pushed a button on his Eskrima, and the tip in Naruto's shoulder as it connected sparked with electricity, and Naruto jolted, flying back in a shocked ragdoll mess. Nightwing landed on a single knee and looked up to Naruto, who jolted on the ground a bit before he pushed off it and stood up, shivering. Naruto stood there for a few seconds before smirking more, turning to Nightwing. Oh, you are much better than I hoped. Damn, I gotta admit, putting a fire under your ass was the best idea I ever had. You've grown in skill to the point I actually wanna fight you. Lex be damned, I wanna fight you till one of us finally falls, and I mean without my fox cloak. Naruto was practically bouncing as he got into stance again. Nightwing smiled at that, but still looked serious. So, why did you come here for Lex? What brings you here to help a villain like him? Naruto checked the time and hummed. Well, to tell you the truth, I am just about to attack the magic police. Their HQ holds something Lex wants, and I am tasked with getting it. Nightwing looked puzzled as he stood and got back into stance. What do you mean? Why would you even do something like that? You're no villain, only a thief. Naruto got into stance and sighed. Look, this isn't about me, or about Lex, it's about Jump City. You know that fucking building I raided recently with my whole team. Nightwing nodded at that. Naruto stormed up again, this time getting down low and swinging a sweep kick at Nightwing. Nightwing raised the foot about to be swept up and kicked forward. Naruto caught the leg and twisted it. Nightwing used the twist to spin and land on a hand, swinging his free leg into Naruto's gut. Naruto used his elbow to block it and push it back. This made him let go of Nightwing's other leg, and Nightwing used Naruto's push to pull it up and flip back onto his feet again before jumping forward, swinging his Eskrima at Naruto. Naruto blocked on, and as the other came down he spun around and pulled hard, attempting to throw Nightwing to the ground. Nightwing caught himself with his free hand that was swinging before and twisted with it. The hand that Naruto let go of landed further back as his legs swung back as well, but Nightwing used his power to spin his body and swing his legs out at Naruto, who stepped forward to try and kick him. Naruto landed a harsh kick into Nightwing's gut as he got close, but did not expect Nightwing to power his way to use his swinging legs' momentum to send a jabbing double heel kick into his side and making him slam to the ground. Nightwing rolled on the ground a few times before getting up, holding his stomach a bit but looking unfazed. Naruto chuckled in a bit of pain as he got up, holding his side. Nightwing had managed to hit right at a sweet spot in his armor, and it really stung this time. Naruto looked to Nightwing and held his side. Batman 2.0. Nah, I think you have earned every right to be called Nightwing from me. No more chuckles. Nightwing stood up, letting go of his stomach. Why are you going to attack the Magic Police HQ for Lex? What does that new tech facility have to do with this? Naruto popped his neck, groaning as he worked his side a bit to lessen the sting. Well, let me just go from the beginning. Blackfire joined us, remember? Well, she has this sickness to Tamarinians. She needs radiation to help her cells to absorb sunlight. Kinda like Kryptonians, you know. Well, the radiation she was using before was kryptonite, but it got destroyed. Nightwing narrowed his eyes. She was trying to bring down Superman or Superboy. Naruto shook his head. No, it had the right radiation signature to saturate her cells in order to absorb ultraviolet rays to power her Tamarinian physiology, that's it. You know me, I don't cheat. It's wrapped in lead and monitored at all times to make sure it doesn't cause any long-term sickness. However, without kryptonite, she was basically human. Squishy, powerless, everything a Tamarinin isn't. On her own world, she was considered a cursed being, so she wasn't about to let them tell her she can't be a Tamarinin. Naruto took a deep breath and looked at the time. It was nearly the hour to strike. So, I broke into Lex Luthor's lab, and stole a good amount of the stuff. It's sealed in a lead vault in my HQ, monitored at all times. It was either Luthor, power plants, Batman, or Superman. Like hell was I going to risk fighting Superman for his rocks, and Batman isn't very cooperative. If I stole from power plants, there would be meltdowns, and I am not about to kill millions for that shit, so the only solution was Luthor. Nightwing started putting the pieces together. So, because you stole his favorite toy, he is planning on something to make you do his bidding. But your team managed to escape, so did you. How is it any danger now? Naruto sighed loudly, hanging his head. The building was a trap. It had things of value, things we wanted and needed, and he made sure it was a tantalizing soft target. When I went in for the big stuff, I fell into a trap of his own. The building is a giant nuke. Nightwing gasped at that, his eyes going wide. Naruto nodded. If I don't steal something from the Magic Police for him, he sets it off destroying thousands. Why am I here? Saving lives. Nightwing was stunned by this information. As he processed it, he imagined what would happen to Jump City if it went off. Naruto turned and started walking off. Nightwing seen Naruto was near his kunai, and he teleported, stopping Naruto in his tracks. Wait, you know Lex, you know how he works, right? Even if you do this, he may set it off anyway. Naruto narrowed his eyes on Nightwing. What would you have me do? Say no and it blows up now, or stall him. You got a better idea than lay it on me. But better do it fast, my armor of clones are about to raid the MPHQ. Nightwing and Naruto stared at each other, the two still as statues as Naruto waited for Nightwing to either try and fight him, or accept him doing this. Nightwing lowered his arm to let Naruto pass. I know you. No one gets hurt or killed, that's how you operate. Naruto nodded and started walking off. I'll knock them out, but they will be just fine. In then out. Though, Superman may find and fight me. So if he does, let him. It'll be my way of stalling Lex even further, as well as testing myself against the strongest on Earth. Nightwing turned to Naruto, gripping his Eskrima. Whether you beat him or not, my team will fight you when you finish. Don't expect us to watch on the sidelines after you and Superman are done and you win. But I doubt you will. He is strong, and skilled. Naruto chuckled and looked back to Nightwing. Look who you are talking to. I'm the master of deception and stealth. See ya. Naruto vanished in a flash, and Nightwing saw a yellow kunai hit the ground. Nightwing gasped before looking into the city. He's teleporting here when he's done. Why? We got a breach. Cut all electrical power. They're sabotaging our systems. We can't hold them back. All magic barriers are being overloaded. They can't take this armada. To say the Magic Police HQ was in chaos, was to understate the matter. Naruto had 1,000 clones enter the station, and every clone that died, 2 more came to life, making any magical defensive spell or glyph overload with magic and burn out from too much power to try and overtake any of the army of Kitsune X clones rushing through the halls. Fire! water, lighting, all of these were taking barriers down from Naruto's jutsus. He even broke open a wall to rid himself of any truly insane power, breaking the glyphs when needed, and any barriers flying up would be crushed due to Earth-style jutsu shaping the building, and crumbling non-inhabited sections of the place to shut power off to critical systems in his area. It wasn't easy, or very hard for that matter, for Naruto to finally reach his destination. It was a supreme lock-guarded magic portal in a vault. He had to use the Kyuubi's power to break through. In a single moment, when half the clones went through, several yellow flashes took over before finally exploding the vault in a big boom. Thankfully, all guards were out of there, and it caused a great amount of destruction to the side and middle of the HQ. Under it all was rubble, no casualties or any real injury. Rising from the roof of the HQ was Kitsune X, a single tail of Kyuubi's power cloaking him. He looked up into the sky as a sonic boom was created over the city, and a blur of red and blue dashed for him. So it begins. XXX with Nightwing XXX. Dick was in a hurry. A clone of Kitsune X just appeared out of nowhere, grabbing the kunai he had, and gave Dick a relic of the magical Dr. Fate. It was one of his greatest weapons, only used in emergencies, his Ankh of power. He rushed through the alleys and over roofs to get it to safety. He was stunned, but also curious. Why would someone strictly human condition want to steal a relic of supreme magic from another realm? It didn't make sense, and the only ones capable of pulling this stunt off against the magic police were a handful. The portal that it was hidden in was purely for those of magical talent. He knew Kitsune X had special abilities, as if it were magic, but Superman had many talents of his own that were more biology enhanced by science to cause his own powers. Nightwing flew up to the apartment of Superman's secret identity, and put it under a flower pot. No one would grab it from there, it was still magically cloaked. As he looked into the distance, he seen Superman fly at incredible speed across the city. He put his fingers to his ear. Titans, do not engage, I repeat, do not engage. He knew the explosion was bound to draw attention. Superboy was first to answer back. You're joking me. He just blew up the entire building, it's in ruins. You're going to let him get away with that? Beast Boy was just as furious. Yeah, dude, you may have come back as an awesome new hero and whatever, but this guy just ramped his status from thief to demolition man. He jumped off the balcony and activated his glider, soaring through the sky. It's a diversion. He's drawing Superman out to stall Luthor. Whatever Luthor wanted him to do, it's got something to do with the magic police. Why would he still be there after destroying it? That got Cyborg starting to use his brain. Luthor's not one to have any kind of attention drawn to him. If he wanted to publicly take out a known police force, it would have to be for something of value. But what could be in the magic police's hands that he would even want? Nightwing landed on a roof. Listen, trust me, he ain't going anywhere. Superman is going to face off with him. If we get in the way, it will just be more collateral damage. Kitsune X is not about to let anything else get destroyed, and I know him to never take a life. Superboy, stand back and check, just in case. Cyborg, keep me updated on their locations. Starfire, I need you keeping a close watch on them. If Kitsune X beats Superman, we take him. Raven, I need you giving me updates on the demonic power he uses. If it goes higher than 5, we need you giving any nearby pedestrians cover. Beast Boy, KF, need you searching for injured in the police station once X and Superman get out of the way. Donna, help the injured out of any tight spots. Static, check the subsonic frequencies. If Supergirl or Power Girl show up, they're going to take the shot before us. It's their town, people. Let them handle it until they can't stand up against X. Only we can if that's the case. After a few minutes and him hooking to a roof and watching from the tallest building in Metro, he got confirmations on all their status updates. He switched his mask's lenses to take out cloud cover and start recording what he was looking at. Time for X to show his true skill. XXX with Luthor XXX. Luthor grinned as he held the Ankh of power in his hands. It shone brilliantly. Well, I guess this was meant to be. Kitsune X did a fine job. He was quick bringing me it, to be sure, and I am very happy to know he will be facing off against the Blue Boy Scout. Superman may indeed beat him, but I hope for Superman to be hurting from the beating he will be getting. Unknown to him, the Ankh he held was just a replica made from a clone transformed, and didn't have any kind of power. It was a fake. He was being listened to and everything from the clone. Unknown to him, this would be the biggest disaster in his plans since he was sent to jail for a year. He stood and walked to the window and began to watch the events unfold. What a miraculous day. XXX with Naruto XXX. Naruto stood in waiting, ready to take on Superman. Now, he knew that by all rumors that Superman wasn't about to fight him straight away. But he wasn't about to let him get away with blowing up a building, especially the Magic Police building. Naruto knew if it was Gotham and against Batman, Batman would be tearing him apart instantly. But this was Superman, not Batman. Superman was quick arriving on scene, and stood in front of Naruto. So, Kitsune X. The thief who was hired by Luthor that everyone keeps warning me about. Naruto decided to play it down a bit, snide and jokingly, try to ease the atmosphere and see Superman's reactions. He shrugged playfully. My reputation precedes me, I see, so what's got your back, Jack? Not good enough for Big Boy Blue to take me down. I could try taking on the Daily Planet. Superman narrowed his eyes and Naruto seen that he crossed his arms in front of him as well. Naruto shrugged more and relaxed. Guess my jokes don't faze you. Do they affect anyone? Seriously, all you heroes are way too serious sometimes. Learn to kick back and have fun. Superman frowned hard, his face scrunched up. Your idea of fun is blowing up a police station and stealing. I don't find that funny. Naruto sighed and rolled his eyes, tilting his head to the side. The blowing up thing, really? Geez, take a look, Mr. Perfect Vision. Not a single casualty, and that was on purpose. He waited and crossed his arms, leaning back in confidence. As Superman looked around, he hummed. Not a single dead body. Dome structures were down but held up by random hills of dirt, holding some injured. Superman looked to Naruto and put his hands to his side. I suppose you were careful, but that doesn't explain the theatrics. You still blew up a building to get what you wanted, as well as the fact you were a thief. Bad things happen to bad people. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He pointed to his chest. This X. It means something to me. It explains my life. I was robbed of a good life, even after saving billions in my own world. My childhood was nothing short of torture. My job, I was betrayed and used every single step of the way. All I know is bad things happening to me, and I did nothing but good. I finally start taking the good of my life back by force, and I am finally living a free life, and all people want to do is tell me I am wrong. I was wronged, that's why I am a thief. I was an orphan, forced to live in a home people stole from just to spite me, stole good food from me, robbed me of a healthy diet, robbed me every single day of my life. I am an X. An X on the mark of the universe. Naruto flew up a few inches. And I am taking back what was robbed of me. By force. Luthor may have hired me, but it is against my will. The good in me is not dead, I am just no longer Nave. So, tell you what. We fight this shit out. Whoever wins, wins. No song and dance, no who has it better or worse, nothing. We fight it out, and get on with our lives. Got it? Superman pointed to his own chest. This S. On my world it means hope. And the hope I have is to protect all from evil, to help the helpless. What you did here was nothing but bad. If you want to make this go down the hard way, then I will oblige you, but don't expect me to let you get away with this. Naruto suddenly sprouted a second tail, his cape flowing behind him with the fringes making two-tailed behind him. Yeah, I don't expect you to. But don't expect me to go down easy. I can outsmart a speedster, and outpower your double. Superman flew up fast and sent an uppercut at Naruto, who caught it and flipped up fast, sending a flipping heel kick at Superman's jaw. Superman dodged to the side and twisted, trying to kick Naruto in his side, but kept careful as to not break any bones. Naruto caught the leg with his own and used the momentum to slam his foot into Superman's cheek and sending him flying to the domed roof of the police station, planting him in the wall. Naruto flew up high and looked down. Time for the show to begin. Superman was off the roof and upon Naruto with amazing speed, making Naruto do a double take. He cursed as he activated his sharingan eye. In slow motion, Superman was super fast compared to slow speed battles like this, but Naruto used his second tail for speed as well, and dodged to the left, spinning around and swinging a back fist at Superman's head. Superman caught it and rose a knee up to hit into Naruto's back, but Naruto wasn't about to let that happen. Naruto caught the knee with his other hand and pushed off, flipping up. Superman figured it was a dodge, and rose up with his other fist, but Naruto wasn't backing down. Naruto flipped hard and slammed a heel into Superman's face. Superman didn't notice, but Naruto's third tail on his cape sprang to life, and he suddenly grew faster. The first kick slammed his nose, and a spinning second kick kicked him in the chin and backwards into a skyscraper 2 blocks away. Naruto huffed, settling down, keeping to the air. He ain't a slouch, that's for sure. Flowing with my movements, keeping me on my toes. That's my specialty, but he's gonna need more skill than that to take me on. Superman came flying out of the skyscraper with a large beam, and that got Naruto's attention. Naruto braced himself as Superman swung at him, and he caught the beam, even if it did hurt like a bitch to do so. Superman looked at Naruto on the beam and narrowed his eyes. Naruto chuckled, gripping the beam tightly. Thanks for the lightning rod. And with that, he charged his body with lightning and the current traveled fast down the beam and hit Superman hard, making him groan as his body was hit with it. Superman wasn't expecting this, but he was duly warned by Nightwing about the elemental powers. Superman clutched the beam and grit his teeth before rushing towards another building and slamming the end Naruto was on against the roof. Naruto was off it in time and flew up and off a few feet. Nice try, but that ain't gonna cut it. Superman laid the beam down and flew with super speed behind Naruto. Naruto vanished in a single bright light as soon as the punch almost nailed his back, and was behind Superman. Superman looked back in shock as Naruto grabbed him by the cape and pulled him hard, clotheslining him and making Superman flip in the air a bit. Superman flipped a few times before stopping and regulating himself, turning and glaring at Naruto. Naruto rubbed his arm, hissing. Damn, you're made of steel all right. That hurt. Seems blunt force isn't gonna cut it with you. Superman decided to go with a power of his own. He breathed in deeply and blew out a sleet of ice at Naruto. Naruto took it, just being encased in ice. Superman stopped when Naruto was fully encased. Surprisingly, the shell of ice didn't fall. Reason was, Naruto was still holding it all up, and with a powerful aura of chakra, blasted the ice off him. That all you got? Naruto brushed the ice off his shoulder. Chilly, but I took on 5 ice villains at the same time. That was a cold day in hell for them, not me. Tell you what, you get 1 shot, 1 free shot. Take me out now, or we hit it off with me taking the kitty gloves off. Superman looked curious. And why would you give me a free shot to take you down? Naruto shrugged. What can I say? I'm a good guy. Gonna take it or not. 'Cause as soon as it fails, you're going to be slammed into the concrete under us with nothing but asphalt holding you in a crater. Superman narrowed his eyes. With blazing speed he went up and grabbed Naruto by the collar and started flying them up with amazing speed. Before long, Superman just grabbed Naruto's arm and started swinging him in the air before throwing him with all his might down back to earth. Superman broke the sound barrier to catch up and pass him, and when he did, he put a knee out and up, shoving his knee into Naruto's gut. Naruto gawked and went frigid, the force dealing a heavy blow against him. When he went limp, Superman picked him up by the back of the collar and looked at him. Good enough. Naruto coughed hard before his cloak flared up. Yeah, but this is gonna be better. Naruto suddenly grappled Superman and pulled hard, slamming a knee into Superman's head before twisting him around and having his tails hammer Superman's back, forcing him down into the rising heel of Naruto's kick into his gut. Before Superman could recover, Naruto grabbed his arm and threw him at the ground. Superman opened his eyes to see Naruto now having 5 tails, all of which suddenly started pummeling him downwards as both legs and fists met with his body as well. In a matter of seconds, they crashed into the street, and caused a crater large enough to hit the sidewalks to be created under its force, but Naruto kept slamming away until Superman and him were in a bigger narrow crater at the center of the first one. Naruto flew up fast and huffed, breathing a bit heavy. That ain't gonna cut it. He's like punching a mountain, just crazy and useless. Gonna have to go full power to fight him on equal terms. But that will cause too much trouble. He suddenly had an idea as Superman rushed up out of the crater and slammed a fist into his gut. Naruto just took it and was limp in Superman's hand. Superman looked at Naruto, still breathing and conscious, but limp. He knew that the punch wasn't knocking him out though. You finally give up. Naruto suddenly grabbed Superman and shoved a Rasengan into the chest of Superman, a wind-style one that thrown him into the building behind him. Naruto flew up fast and hard, taking his fight to the sky. When he stopped he looked straight ahead, just waiting. As anticipated, a minute later, Superman flew up in front of him in the clouds. Naruto huffed and took a deep breath. It's time for us to take off the kitty gloves, Supes. Look, I ain't a bad guy. Sure, I steal to have a better life, and trust me many a good people steal because they have no choice. Me, it's all I can do to have a better life, one that I was robbed from in the first place. Believe it or not, my team just wants peace and quiet, a good relaxed lifestyle that wants to have fun and be together. Sure we enjoy a good fight, and yeah we should stay active cause life is short. But that doesn't mean we deserve to be thrown in jail. Superman was taken back by this. The voice Naruto was using was sincere to him, one that spoke volumes of who he was in heart. Superman sighed. I see people stealing because they cannot live unless they do so. It's not right how they are treated, but they shouldn't drop to the level the ones hurting them use, they should stay better. Being good is always hard, and being bad is always easy. We shouldn't give up the good side of us just because it's hard. Naruto started popping his neck. Yeah, well, sometimes when your good heart saved billions and they still resent you and try to take away the life you deserve, you need to choose. Either become their puppet, or become the person you were always meant to be. I am not evil, I am just a thief. I steal because I was stolen from. I give myself a better life because others ripped it from my grasp. And that is who I am. No changing me, Supes. But I will say this entire ordeal is me being a hero. Believe me or not, but you will read in the papers how Jump City was saved. Naruto suddenly sprouted a 6th tail. This is it. I will make you a deal. I came up here to lessen collateral damage, understood? Up here, we can't hurt anyone. Up here, it's just you and me. I want to take you on at your strongest. Don't you dare hold back a single ounce of your strength. I guarantee the second you do you will be defeated. Superman hummed at this, but narrowed his eyes. I won't kill you, if that is what you are asking. Naruto shook his head as the seventh tail presented itself. I never said kill me. Just don't hold back. Use all your power to knock me out. Use it all to beat me in battle and take me to jail. I will use every ounce of my own power to beat you so I can continue my own plans. Understood. Superman saw the eighth tail grow in, and all of them flaring behind Naruto. He narrowed his eyes. He took them high enough to not cause any damage, just to fight it out without any restrictions of strength and speed, to use all their powers to fight it out once and for all. An all-out battle for the winner, no matter who wins. Superman smiled a bit. He respected Naruto's idea and want of a good fight that didn't cause any damage. Fine then. I will face you with all my power. Superman popped his knuckles as Naruto grew his final tail, the ninth tail. For what it's worth, you're not so bad. I can see why Nightwing respects you. Naruto smiled as well as he took a deep breath. And for what it's worth, you're not so bad a hero yourself. To take out the big guys I always hear about. We need people like you. Now, time to show you my strongest form. In a second after saying so, he roared loudly, the chakra of the Kyuubi cloak flaring and turning brighter, growing around him. The veil turned into a ball of pure red chakra as Superman looked in awe. For a moment, the energy stopped growing, and the yelling stopped. Superman could only stare in surprise and awe as the form coming from the ball that shrank around it was not that of a human, but of an animal. The ball of chakra shrank around the center, dissipating as red furry paws and claws appeared from the ball, and a large head of a fox, 9 giant tails flowing behind him. The fox snarled as it shook. The fur around it shifted as a green hue tinted it slightly, streaks of green glowing fur swirling around it and forming a facial tribal mark, the eyes of the fox going from slits to stars. The change finalized when the green-streaked red fox with 9 tails howled out a roar, the energy emanating from it causing the sky's clouds to part and darken in fear. Superman could only look in shock at the form before him. The fox talked, which finally broke him from his stupor. Now you face against the true form of Kitsune X. The 9-tailed fox sage of a world filled with ninjutsu. Behold the king of hell. For he shall show mercy on all mortals. Let USCWHO shall come out on top. XXX with Raven XXX. She was captivated in shock. The power being shown before her eyes was immense. The Kyuubi was a fabled beast and a king of a level of hell beside her own father. The power was just as enormous, and to think Kitsune X was holding this demon within him was unimaginable. To control such power, it would be inevitable that the power would soon overtake him. Which was a surprising thing she found out after sensing that Kitsune X, the human side, was in total control. What surprised her even more was that the Kyuubi, the embodiment of hatred and anger, didn't show a single vein of hatred here, only excitement and happiness. This was coupled with the good energy it was absorbing from the earth, gladly given, and making it even more powerful. She was shaking as she landed and sat in shock and awe at the sight before her. This is unbelievable. She had many questions now. How to control such a demon, how to turn their own hatred into something better like happiness, and what did he do in order to do that? She knew that Kyuubi was not the only demon that was going to enter this realm. She knew her father was about to knock on the door here using her as the door itself. She didn't want that, and this gave her hope. XXX with Naruto and Superman XXX. A giant standing fox was in front of Superman, and Superman finally calmed down and looked determined, ready to fight. You are a demon, and you say you are for good. Naruto scoffed as his fox head twitched to the left. Do not take me for some evil bearer of demons. I may hold the Kyuubi within me, but my heart is still my own. In fact, it is one of many heroic deeds that people hated me for. The Kyuubi is a prisoner inside my own body, and others hated me because they thought I was its reincarnate. They wanted to kill me for holding the demon back from killing them all. If I had died, the Kyuubi would have been unleashed, and destroyed them. Technically, they would have killed me and made the demon they hated come out. They were evil, not me. Superman looked in shock at that. To hear something so personal spoken from such a beast in an easy manner was shocking to say the least. His super mind processing it and thinking about the kids who didn't like him for his powers at all, thinking he was some kind of a freak. He understood being who you were and others not liking you for it. He flew up and got into fighting position. Then I commend you for making the ultimate sacrifice. But I still have to take you down. Superman flew at sonic speed, a flash of red as he got in close. Kyuubi's form may be big, but it was still fast, as he rose a paw up and at Superman. Superman rose his arms up, cupping his hands, and slammed them against Kyuubi's paw with all his might, the blow causing a shock wave of power to reverberate the sky itself, the clouds shifting away even more. Superman's blow caused the paw to lower a bit, and him to get into the chest. Using the same cupped hands blow he gave the paw, he rammed them up against Kyuubi's chest. This was when his strength wasn't enough, as a force of chakra expelled between him and the form in front of him, and it flashed the Kyuubi behind him, and a tail slamming into his back. The force was enough to send him flying, but not with a paw catching him and pulling him back to a rising knee, slamming him into it. Superman grunted from the force and speed he was hit, caught and hit again in a mere second, but gripped the knee he was on as the paw lifted. He flew up with all his might, pulling the knee with him and flipping the fox form on its back. Kyuubi form Naruto was shocked by this but tried to swipe the knee being lifted with his tails, only to have Superman zap them with a concentrated laser eye blast. In a sedong, Superman pulled him and started twisting him around. Naruto was kind of surprised by this, and as the speed began to pick up, he was unable to move against the G-forces he was taking. Superman let go, and with amazing super speed, went down under Naruto and grabbed a tail, pulling it back with all his might and flew at the speed of sound to catch Naruto's foxjaw with a Vision's uppercut, knocking a flipping Naruto back wildly. Naruto caught himself on all fours, gripping the very air as he stalled. He rubbed his jaw and grinned widely. He furrowed his fur as he stood up again. That hurt. Good one. Damn, you got a hook. But it seems my form is a bit too much for you. Superman flew at him again, and this time decided to use some strategy. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. He suddenly spun on his heels, spinning right at Naruto. The speed of his spin caused a tornado to ripple the sky and start tugging at Naruto. Naruto turned around, swishing his tails and taking the wind stream out with just a swipe before rising a kick up at Superman, who was coming in from above. Superman created his tornado as a distraction, but seen clearly it was no match for Naruto as the leg came up at him and slammed into him unsuspectingly, causing him to sail upwards at amazing speed. Before he could break the atmosphere, Naruto was on him and slammed a harsh punch at him downwards, forcing Superman to change direction and zip towards the earth. Superman stopped before exiting the clouds level, and looked up, huffing and holding his chest. He got hit pretty hard. He seen the fox form racing towards him, rubbing downward as if it were level ground. He closed his eyes for a second before opening them again, aiming at Naruto with a wide area and powerful red beam of laser vision. Naruto was stopped in his tracks as the beam hit him squarely, the laser hitting him faster than he could see. He roared in pain as it blasted him back upwards. It caused him to fly up a good 1,000 feet before stopping. The beam dissipated, but as he opened his eyes, holding his chest tight, he saw Superman rocket a fist into his nose. Naruto yipped as he flipped backwards, only to have Superman grab his arm and pull him forward, slamming a kick into his gut and sending him rocketing back. As Naruto rocketed back, he felt cold as ice was covering him from Superman's ice breath. Naruto took a deep breath, or what he could from his tightening chest, and roared hard, causing Superman to cover his face, and the ice to shatter. Naruto swung his tails hard at Superman, only for him to slam an elbow between them and slip through. Superman raced toward him again. Naruto knew he had to use his greatest power, and twisted around front with a harsh elbow into Superman himself, causing him to fly back far. Naruto rose his head skyward and rose his paws into the air. His power being drawn from himself as a black and white energy formed into a ball. As the ball grew in size, Superman caught himself to look and stare wide-eyed at the new power being shown to him. He had a bad feeling in his gut about this. He charged with all his speed and might, but as he got close, the tails rose up and swirled around wildly, slapping him once he got close. He rose up and went for his laser vision, only to be blocked by the very paws holding it in the air. Superman inhaled deeply before flowing a wild wind at Naruto, but Naruto held fast, the ball growing into a giant ball the size of the globe on the daily planet. Superman could only stare in shock as it grew 5 times bigger. Nothing he used was working. Ice breath speed attacks nothing. Naruto was all over him before he could get near, and when he finally got close enough, the power blasted him away itself. Once the ball was the size of the fox form itself, it suddenly shrunk into a small pebble of a ball. Naruto'd it, and growled in disgust. He looked at Superman, who was angled below him a little. Just a warning. This is aimed at you. If you dodge this, the earth below takes the hit. I can't hold it. Biju Dama. With a roar of power, he fired a large beam of dark energy at Superman. Superman was thankful for the warning as he looked behind him from Naruto's angle, and seen Metropolis. He knew he had to take this hit. He narrowed his eyes as he pulled upon every ounce of energy for his next attack. With a roaring yell he bladed the largest strongest beam of energy form his eyes that could be produced, the beam blasting against the Bijudama. Surprisingly, the laser vision was stalling the energy evenly, but the energy from Naruto was not stopping. Superman was growing weaker by the second, his energy zapping with the use of his laser vision, him and his laser vision failing and lowering to the earth. Naruto seen this and knew it was too much, so he did the ridiculous. He closed his mouth and caught the brunt of the power before raising his head and blasting the rest of the energy upwards. Superman saw the sudden redirection of the blast. He knew he had to finish this, so he didn't let up, increasing his beam's power and concentration against Naruto's chest. As the final throws of the beam vanished from his mouth, Naruto felt weak. Just then, he got hit by the still-firing laser of Superman's vision beam, and roared in pain. Superman poured the heat until he finally felt his powers of flight faulty, and stopped, closing his eyes and huddling up, holding his eyes closed. Naruto's fox form started steaming in red energy, fading slowly. With the last of his time using the fox form, he rushed in and clapped Superman between his paws, hard, the clap itself sounding like a sonic boom reverberating the very air around them. Naruto's fox form finally vanished, fading in an orange mist to the sky. All that was left was a cloak of 7 tails. Superman was finally free of the claws, but was slumping, falling slowly. He looked up at Naruto, who looked about ready to fall over as well. Superman smiled a bit. Guess the verdict is clear. You win. With that said, he fell unconscious. Before he could fall suddenly, Naruto was on him, catching him by the arm. Naruto chuckled weakly, rolling his free shoulder. Yeah, but not without a hell of a few bruises. Naruto looked at himself. His costume was ripped, showing off the metal-plated and burned dragon skin cushion. His mask cracked as well. He was glad he added a layer of lead on it, not just to keep his identity secret against Superboy. It held his mask together as well, which was a surprise. He slowly lowered himself and Superman on top of the Daily Planet, Superman slumping on the roof and knocked out. Naruto just stood up straight, catching his breath. He sighed heavily in grief as he seen 2 more people flying at him. Between the final blast and the crushing clap on Superman, the 2 in front of him arrived in the area. He sighed. I don't suppose you 2 are here to take him to recover. I really don't want to fight you right now. The 2 in front of him were none other than Supergirl and Power Girl. The long-haired blonde in red and blue with the shield on her chest frowned as she looked at her cousin. Sorry, but you just took out my cousin. You're in need of a beat down. Naruto caught Supergirl as she flung herself at him, grappling him. Naruto groaned in effort to hold her back. Look, I fought him, I won. He knew this. You're a little late to the party, but if you want it to continue, you might need to give me a kiss first, sweet cheeks. He dropped his arms and wrapped his arms around her. She looked surprised at this before he suddenly wrapped all his tails around her and squeezed. Power Girl was on them, her white leotard with a hole where the shield with the S should be but wasn't, and her little red cape flying behind her as she slammed a hell into his face. He rolled with it and spun Supergirl in his arms before grabbing her arms, forcing them off him, and throwing her at Power Girl, slamming them both on the roof. He was on them quickly, knowing not to play around now, as he slammed a sudden heel drop kick into Supergirl's side, and rolled down with an elbow into Power Girl's shoulder. Both groaned but used whatever they had available, a punch for Supergirl, and a knee with Power Girl, slamming into his side and chest, forcing him in the air. As they stood back up, Naruto groaned. He was using efficiency mode, just the cloak, but he knew he needed the power and speed to take the 2 in front of him on. As the 2 flew at him at the same time, he grabbed them both with large claws and pulled them into his arms, clotheslined them and making them spin out behind him. He turned and got on all 4s on the roof. In a matter of seconds his suit started to rip the dragon skin off as blood-red energy covered his body, the cloak turning into an energy form around him that was solid and swirling, dark green patterns swirling all over him as his sage powers still pumped through his system. His 7th tail sinking within him as this form took the last of his 7th tail's power to create the version 2 chakra cloak form. Strength and speed over duration at this point. Supergirl blasted her laser eyes at Naruto, Power Girl flying up a bit to keep him from going into the air. Naruto wrapped his tails in front of him, blocking the beams and holding position as the laser stung. As Supergirl stopped, Power Girl dropped down on Naruto, his tails coming back when the beams died down, and Power Girl struck hard, slamming a heel into his back and through the roof. Naruto caught himself on the next floor and twisted, grabbing Power Girl and gripping her face in his hands. He roared as he sprinted with amazing speed out the window, dragging Power Girl along the floor before twisting and tossing her at Supergirl again, who was chasing after them. Supergirl dodged Power Girl and breathed in, blowing cold breath to trap Naruto. That failed immensely, as Naruto slammed a fierce fist into Supergirl's face, knocking her back into the Daily Planet alongside Power Girl. Naruto jumped up into the air and glared, ready for round 2. He knew they weren't done. He had to beat them with skill, not power. He didn't have the power to take them both like he did Superman, that was his best blast. So he decided to turn up the heat, and start using every single move set in his power mode. He inhaled and waited for one to follow him up, his cheeks bulging. It didn't take long for Power Girl to race for him. She threw a fast sucker punch at him, but he twisted around fast, all his tails slamming against her and throwing her back. He seen Supergirl come from above in a blur and just opened his mouth, firing several rapid-fire balls of energy at her. What surprised him was she deflected half of them before getting hit by the rest, which combined into a single huge explosion. What surprised him more was she came out with only a few scratches on her clothes and a fist raging for his head. He reached up and caught the punch, only to have her pull him up and start twisting him around. He knew she was going to throw him, and grabbed her legs with his tails right as she pulled extra hard for the throw. He flew back a bit but got caught by his tails on her leg, and forced her to follow him. He stopped and slammed a palm into her head, catching her, and speeding into the roof of another building, cracking the roof a bit. Naruto sensed Power Girl coming in from behind him and dodged to the side just as she was on top of him, making her slam Supergirl with her heel, and both falling through the roof into the building. He jumped back up and waited. He felt his sixth tail about to vanish and decided to use what little power he had with it to activate the big move. He put his hands behind his back and created two-tailed beast bombs. He didn't bother swallowing them as he shrunk them down. In moments, Supergirl and Power Girl came flying out at him and he slammed his palms together. With a dark chuckle he felt his hands tremble under the power of what was to come. Just as they punched him in the face backwards, both right by each other, he let go of the bombs and flew back. Supergirl and Power Girl could only watch for a single moment before the white light burst forth and exploded behind them, launching them at Naruto. Naruto stopped and flipped back upright and caught both by the head, slamming them back to back head to head hard and using two tails each to punch them both as hard as he could in the gut and chest against each other, the force reverberating between their bodies' form being back to back. Naruto spun rapidly suddenly, holding the girls by the heads and spinning with all his might. Just as he got to top speed he let go of Supergirl, and threw her right into the street below them, and sent Power Girl speeding at her as well before stopping. He watched as Power Girl slammed against Supergirl making the crater Supergirl made even bigger. He waited for a minute before starting to float downwards, his five tails still flailing behind him. He came down in cloak form, the second stage cloak dissipating and his suit all broken in some places, his cape gone, his right boot vanished, his left gauntlet shredded and almost falling off. Even his mask was half broken off and some of his face was visible, but only his left eye and part of his whiskered cheek. His fifth tail started to dissipate slowly as he landed by the girls. He sighed. Damn, a shame really. They don't have Superman's experience. But you have all the power to beat them without a single injury. Impressive. Naruto looked up and glared at the incoming man. Even without knowing who the being before him was, he felt Kyuubi ready to fight or flee under this creature's presence. A man in black and what looked like a half-helmet around the back of his head landed in front of him. I dare say you've done quite well. Better than I asked of Luthor. Naruto glared harder, his Rinnegan eye blaring. You're a man of great power, as I am told. Darkseid. The man before him grinned a bit, his rough rugged wrinkled but muscular features intimidating all around them. I see you know of me. Good, this will be easy. I have been in search of a warrior of extraordinary talents, one who could match the savior of Earth, known as Superman. You seem worthy to take under my wing. Naruto stood firm, unfazed. Sorry, I'm just a thief, I'm no warrior. I'd rather live a simple life to be honest with you. Naruto had to change his plans now. Kyuubi was wrestling around in his cage, the bastard wants to turn you into a fucking weapon kit. Just a plaything he can call his prize. Darkseid is a menace to the universe in this dimension, and only wants one thing, complete domination of all life. Don't let him take you to his world, or you will never leave. Naruto decided to act casual, crossing his arms and leaning against the building behind him. I'm gonna have to pass on your offer. The only thing I plan to do right now is stall Luthor. Darkseid walked around the girls, nodding a bit. I see, stalling the man who brought you here. I asked him to show me his ability to face Superman. He, in turn, found a way to fight him. But he did not count on what he needed to do to get what he desired. Naruto's eye popped wide open. That subtle clue told him everything. He stood off the building and scoffed. The asshole. Having me take a relic of magic to beat Superman. For you. That's low. He had me do it by threatening my friends with a bomb. Darkseid chuckled. He's clever. I give him that. But you have no option before you but join me. The only other option is death. He raised an eyebrow as he looked around him, suddenly several people surrounding him. Naruto seen this too. Guess the Titans couldn't stay away anymore. I beat the three who protect this town, now their turn to take me on. He turned to the speedster. Hey, Speedy, can ya tell Nightwing he needs to rein you guys in a bit? This guy ain't your normal run-of-the-day villain. Kid Flash scoffed and was ready to start running already. You kidding me? Like we can stay back when Darkseid is here. Superboy decided to act first, and blasted a beam of heat vision right at Darkseid. Darkseid caught the blast with his hand and blocked it. Pitiful weaklings. You don't hold a candle to the ones lying before you now, you clone sidekick. Starfire raced at him as Kid Flash and Static flanked him, Kid Flash creating a mini tornado as he tried for momentum, Static grabbing the concrete around Darkseid and flying it at Kid Flash with his electric prowess. As the slabs slungshot around KF, they hit Darkseid head-on, only to shatter and create a bit of a smokescreen, in which Starfire came in and slammed a heavy kick into Darkseid, who caught it with his hand and deflected it. Cyborg joined Superboy in blasting him with a beam of his own, Donna going up and flipping for a heavy drop kick. As she slammed her foot down, she got hit by Starfire, who was caught and swung like a bat at her, throwing both girls to the side. Kid Flash caught them as Static supercharged Cyborg's cannon. The cannon fired heavier and made Darkseid groan a bit, making him pout his hand over it, whilst Superboy jumped head first into Darkseid. Just as Superboy was about to ram into him, he activated his jacket, a metal coating appearing as he slammed into Darkseid, making him skid back a bit. Darkseid grabbed Superboy and tossed him up in the air, firing his own eye beams, a dark red zigzag beam that was twirling around before finally hitting Superboy and blasting him into the building beside him. Darkseid didn't get much of a break as suddenly Donna slammed a heavy hammer into the back of his knee, making him crouch into a rising shield. Donna slammed the side of the shield into Darkseid's face before bringing the hammer down again on his head, making him kneel. Starfire was above them and started firing rapid-fire star bolts from her gauntlets. Darkseid raised up and covered his face from it, but was surprised to find himself slammed into by a metal helmet on a green rhino, forcing him up and into the ground, skidding across the street. Naruto whistled a bit, looking impressed. Guess I didn't figure you guys to get so good and have new stuff. Is that rhino riding armor? Beast Boy changed from rhino to raptor and started gnawing on Darkseid's arm, his elongated toe claws sinking into his body from the enchanted metal wrapped on them. Naruto was surprised the armor changed with him. Damn, okay, that's new. Raven appeared above him and had several cars floating. Suddenly they shredded into small pellets clouding the street. Naruto was most impressed. Darkseid grabbed Beast Boy and flung him across the street, where Cyborg caught him and was also now hurling down the street with the force the raptor impacted him. Raven brought the rain, as each metal ball slammed into Darkseid, some sinking into his body before pushing him on the ground. Before Darkseid could get up, Donna was on him again, slamming the hammer into his jaw and making him face the sky where Starfire suddenly dropped from, a large energy bolt in her hands and shoving it into Darkseid's face and into the ground, blowing up around him. Kid Flash raced around and lifted Darkseid with an enlarging tornado, making him levitate. Darkseid growled and was about to fire his Omega beams once more when Superboy jumped from the building and landed on Darkseid's head, sinking him back into the ground with an earth quaking under his forceful stomping power. The Titans were around Darkseid, about ready to finish him off when Darkseid grabbed Kid Flash and slammed him against a pole, making the young speedster cry in pain before slamming him like a club against Static. Static hit the ground hard as Kid Flash broke his leg on the road, skidding along it. Starfire fired at Darkseid again, rising into the air, but the Omega beams hit her as Darkseid stopped playing around. Donna tried to go for Darkseid's head again, but he caught her hammer and slammed it against her head, taking her shield and tossing it at her, making it hit her square and sending her flying through the street making a large skidding crater. Superboy tried to fire his heat vision whilst Cyborg and Beast Boy came in, Cyborg riding a T-Rex with large metal claws striking at Darkseid. Darkseid caught the claws and pulled the arm down, slamming his fist into the wrist and breaking it, making the T-Rex roar in pain. Cyborg came down and tried to help Superboy with suppressive fire, only to have Darkseid jump up at Beast Boy and grab him by the head. Darkseid pulled him down and slammed the giant dinosaur into Superboy and Cyborg, punching the T-Rex out, making him change back into Beast Boy, the three all knocked out. Naruto decided it was time to stop this insanity and his fifth tail vanished. Raven gasped as she seen Naruto activate his cloak version 2 form and watched as he got ready for a fight. Naruto suddenly roared and tackled Darkseid before sending a red Rasengan deep into his chest and a gushing water from the ground sending him into the sky. As Darkseid rose he climbed to meet Raven. When he comes down to kill me, wrap us in your strongest field. I'll finish him. Understand me? Raven nodded in horror as he started making the bombs in his hands again. Darkseid grabbed him by the arms with super speed as he trapped Naruto on the ground. Naruto stopped making the bombs and stayed still, his form returning to the normal cloak. Darkseid glared as his eyes glowed red, ready to fire. You will join me now, or I will end you here. You choose. Naruto chuckled lightly. You know, I was asked this twice. To join or die. I said no before and came out alive. I don't believe in third time's the charm. What is going to happen is I am going to blow you the fuck up and hope you never get back to this world. Naruto suddenly changed back into his other form, only a single tail sustaining the version 2 cloak as two giant bombs hit both sides of Darkseid, exploding within a new dome of energy containing them. As the explosions died down, Raven let the field down to see Naruto with only a single tail normal cloak grabbing Darkseid by the neck, who was beaten and broken, both arms broken, a leg twisted the wrong way, and his head all askew from the blast damaging his armor to scrap. Naruto created a huge Rasengan that sparked with the voice of 1,000 birds made from electricity, and sent it into Darkseid's chest, and made him fly into the sky from the force exploding against him. The sky darkened as a large building was in the sky. It was the very building that Naruto and his team robbed a while ago, the one that was a nuke in disguise, and it shone the nuclear bombs in the underside of it. Only the ones who could use enhanced vision, from goggles or superpowers, could see that Darkseid was smashed into the building and 1,000 version 2 cloak Naruto clones were holding onto it. It only took a matter of seconds before the clones launched the thing into space from all their combined might, and made it disappear into the sky. After it vanished totally to most people, the mushroom cloud of an explosive nuclear detonation shook the earth and sky with amazing force, the explosion thundering out its awakening as it blew up. After the explosion calmed to just smoke in the clouds, Naruto finally let down his cloak, now just standing in his uniform. He fell to his knees, weakened from his fight this morning, every bone feeling the need to break form just a twitch of movement. Naruto seen someone's feet come in front of him and he looked up to see Nightwing, holding his Eskrima sticks in hand. He chuckled weakly. Guess you finally beat me now, huh Nightwing? Nightwing looked around to see Superboy, Beast Boy and Cyborg beaten and knocked out, Kid Flash leaning against a building with a broken leg, Donna was knocked out with her shield sticking her into the street. Only Raven, Static who was up and flying again, and Starfire who finally flew out of the building, holding her stomach, were able to continue. He hummed a bit before looking to Naruto. Maybe we have, but you've been known to have tricks up your sleeve. Naruto chuckled weakly still and groaned as he stood back up, holding himself up holding his knees. True, I usually do. But I got nothing but skill and a weak body. Against Starfire, that's nothing. Raven, she's still at full power, and Static still got a charge going. Not to mention you. Get my gift okay? Nightwing nodded. He put his Eskrima back in his holsters and turned. Guys, get our wounded. Static, can you carry KF and Beast Boy? Raven, need you to help with Superman, Supergirl, and Power Girl. Starfire, take Cyborg and Donna. I'll grab Superboy. We need to head out. Starfire looked in shock at Nightwing's choice. But Kitsune X is right there. Weak, we can finally catch him and put him in jail for all this. Nightwing looked at her. That building was the one he robbed, right? It was a nuclear bomb. He just saved Jump City, and used it to send Darkseid flying back through space, saving Metropolis. I think he's earned a 24-hour head start. Raven looked into the sky. She didn't sense Darkseid at all near Earth. She looked to Static, who looked at her. He shrugged. I say we follow orders. Besides, ain't like we can't try again. X ain't going to pull that big fox out on us, he always played fair. Starfire looked to X and glared at him. He shrugged and put his arms up, as if asking to be cuffed. She looked to Nightwing who just looked at her evenly. She sighed and looked to Naruto. X, thank you for saving Jump City and stopping Darkseid. But this is not over. We will finally stop you and your thieving days will come to their end soon. 24 hours to get out of town and escape, or I will find you. Naruto nodded and stood tall. Thanks cutie. Sorry about all this. I didn't want any of this to happen. Hope no one else got hurt. And tell the rest of your team this when they wake up. All of you against me. I think you all would be able to beat me. You all are so much stronger, and I am happy to be driving you all to a greater ability to save people from true evil. But I'm not the good guy, so leave me out of this saving stuff from now on, okay? With that, he vanished in a blinding light. The Titans grabbed their comrades and fallen heroes and started off to the hospital. XXX with Luthor XXX. Luthor was sitting at his desk, watching outside the window. The Ankh he held disappeared not long after the building he made blew up, a fake he found out. He had to admit, X was smart, and not only outsmarted him, but outmuscled all the Kryptonians in the city, even Darkseid was no match. Luthor sighed. Using him is a volatile choice. Even if he could help me, he will hurt any chance of my success before doing so. I will have to cross him off the list of people to contact when I need something done. He's too volatile and unpredictable. Lex had to admit, however, Kitsune X brought him many ideas on how to beat Superman. He recorded their fight, and was analyzing the data now. Soon, I'll finally defeat the Boy Scout and his inhuman attributes with human ingenuity. XXX 12 hours later XXX. Naruto was in a new suit, looking over the city, sitting on a roof as he enjoyed the last minutes in Metropolis he would be able to stand before needing to leave. He also needed to keep his strength up, considering he was still super weak. He looked up as a blue-clad blonde girl flew in front of him from above. Hey there, beautiful. Come to take me on again. Supergirl had her arms crossed, but was smiling. Not really. I feel like it would do nothing but make more of a mess in the city anyway. I figured I would come and say goodbye. You stopped Lex from obtaining the Ankh, which you stole for him in the first place, and saved the city from Darkseid. You even saved Jump City from a giant nuke, so I would say you saved the day in more ways than one, and did so by beating us, the ones who were supposed to be saving the city in the first place. I guess I am here to say, thank you. Naruto shrugged a bit. No problem. I tried to beat you guys without hurting you all too badly. Glad to see you all still up and ready to do your part. How's Big Boy Blue? Supergirl came up and sat by Naruto, brushing some of her hair out of the way as the wind flipped it around. He's fine. He told me to tell you that he respects your strength and conviction to save lives, even if you feel like being a thief all the time. He hopes you change your path to a better one, but understands you are who you are. Naruto chuckled. I guess I got his blessing to roam. That's good. Batman ain't one to let me roam if I ever go to Gotham again. Supergirl giggled. He's way too serious, I know. But he has his own conviction, and will do anything to help, even if he isn't so nice. Still, I hope you don't have to go back to Gotham. Batman is already trying to bring the League down on you for being so reckless. Naruto looked to her. And let me guess, Superman told them otherwise. Supergirl smiled more. Nope, I did. My cousin told them why, but I was the one passionate about keeping you left alone. If you could beat us all, even Darkseid, before finally falling on your knees, then I would have to say the League is no match for you if you ever did want to fight us. I suggested we leave you alone. Thank goodness my cousin agreed, and brought in Nightwing to tell them about you. You're just a thief, not a major threat. Naruto had to admit, that threw him for a loop. You, help me, you wanted to tear my head off after I beat the Boy Scout. Supergirl blushed a bit. I seen you beat my cousin using a power of extreme destruction, of course I wanted to stop you. But when I found out why this day happened, I had to admire you for all you represent. You aren't good, but you aren't bad. You will help others in need if you must, but you won't just let people walk all over you. In a way, I feel like you are the only one who sees the world like I do. That made Naruto do a double take. You see the world as a place to live in with potential to do and have anything you want as long as you stay true to who you are. Really? I thought you'd be all goody-goody. Supergirl smirked playfully. I'm blonde, not stupid. The world is a big place, the universe even bigger. We as a single planet are insignificant to many other places in the universe as a whole, but we are still alive. I may enjoy going out and wearing what I want when I want, and doing anything I find fun, but I know I have my powers for a reason, and must do my part to help those I care about. I care about everyone. Naruto hummed at that. Guess you have a point. I admire that. You are who you are, but you won't let life choose for you. You choose your own path, and you know you must choose good or bad. You chose good, and I see this as a great thing. Believe it or not, I still believe in the good of the world, having peace. But I can't do it anymore. Saving billions and nothing changed for me. I saved my world thrice over, and all I was to them was a weapon. All I am doing now is living my life how I want, and I am taking my life back. I did enough. Supergirl looked at him and smiled, hovering a bit closer. You saved the city, and even my other cousin, Superboy, from Darkseid. Even if you are a thief, you are a good person, one who I am starting to like. So, here is part 1 of your reward. Naruto didn't expect it, but she kissed his cheek. He felt the kiss press against him and blushed a bit. To be stunned was an understatement. He was pleasantly surprised. He looked to her. You do realize this mask stays on, right? Supergirl rolls her eyes and puts a hand up to rub the mask's cheek. Come on. It's not like I am going to tell. Besides, wouldn't you rather it be a real kiss against the cheek? Naruto hummed a bit but sighed. Truth be told, I'm putting on a tough facade. I can barely move my body here. Taking you all on as well as Darkseid. My body is jello. So even if I said no, you can do whatever you want to me here and get away with it. Supergirl smirked wide. Really now? So if I wants to tear that mask off to see who you were, I could do it? Naruto shrugged lightly and weakly. You could, but it wouldn't be fun for me. It has a lock system. Anyone attempting to take it off gets shocked and it locks itself. So let's take the easy route, okay? Take it off. Supergirl could hear a tiny click sound and slide the mask up and off, the helmet coming off very easily. As she took it off, she could see the whisker marks on his face, and was surprised by that. What surprised her more was when the helmet came all the way off and she seen blonde hair. She put the helmet down and seen Naruto, looking deep into his blue eyes. Wow, blonde with blue eyes. You and I have more in common than I thought. Naruto rolled his eyes a bit and smiled. I knew that from first seeing you on television. Supergirl sighed a bit. She looked at the helmet and hummed. So, lead-coated helmet. Naruto groaned. I didn't want Superman to be cheating, so I figured why not. Know what I mean? Truth be told, I'm not even identifiable in this world. No birth certificate, no driver's license, nothing. I basically appeared out of thin air. Supergirl looked at Naruto curiously. You say that, but are you sure about that? Maybe you were brainwashed, or kidnapped as a kid. Some people are like that. Naruto shook his head. No, it's the truth. I came from a whole different plane of existence, a whole new dimension. I even remember how it happened. You can ask the Titans, they sent some of the people who came with me back there. Supergirl smiled. You know, Nightwing talked a bit about you. He said you are super strong and talented, but not exactly evil. He may have hated how you joke around and think everything is a game, but he respects your skills. Naruto smiled wide and chuckled. Well, I guess it's true. I was kinda hard on him, joking around making it seem like he wasn't worthy of my time, but in truth I was just having fun. I knew he had some great skill in fighting, and he could hold his own against metahumans. But he grew in a small amount of time into Nightwing, and I respect that. In fact, I respect him to the point I will never make a joke about his name. Supergirl smiled and giggled. I guess you have a point. He has grown extremely fast, and suddenly got back into the hero game in only a year. Seems impossible somewhat, but there is no denying the progress. Naruto nodded at that, looking up in the sky. This is nice. Sitting here, relaxing, and just talking. Sometimes I forget how good it is to unwind. Supergirl looked at him with a puzzled look. You don't have any downtime as a thief. Really? I figured you'd take time to enjoy your life. Naruto chuckled nervously a bit. I work my own team hard. Seeing as they have to face the Titans, who are also growing, and I don't want them to be caught when they try to get something to enjoy their life with. So I don't get much downtime. Though I should try to. Supergirl smiled and leaned in, kissing Naruto's cheek. Those whiskers are cute. I bet any girl who sees them thinks so. Naruto chuckled nervously more. Well, Jinx does to be sure. She likes me a lot. I did promise to give her a chance though. Supergirl frowned a bit. So, you are going to be with another girl. Naruto looked to her. Can you look me in the eye and tell me you can keep a relationship as Supergirl? You have any idea how crazy the press is going to try and destroy you and whoever you be with? Besides, I'm just enjoying life. What's it to me if more than one girl wants to be with me? Why should I say no to either? Supergirl rolled her eyes. It's the principle of the matter. If a girl is with you, you stay faithful. Naruto looked at her blankly. To be faithful is to be loyal. Who says being loyal to one person means I have to betray another? Why not be loyal to two people? Or three? Being loyal is to be honest and giving constant support. Why can I not be honest to more than one person? Or support more than one person? The world says one-on-one. I say just enjoy life, love who you love, no matter who or how many, and be happy with whoever, whenever, however, wherever and so on. Can't deal with that? Then might as well deal with me giving Jinx a shot at me. Supergirl looked at him with a blank stare of her own. But when she thought about it, he had a point. The world says to be loyal to only one, and screw everyone else. But that didn't make any sense at all to her either. She hummed a bit before finally smiling. Fine, guess I have to share. But I am not about to let her have the first kiss. Before Naruto could say anything, she planted her lips on his and kissed him, making him widen his eyes and stiffen. She smiled in the kiss as she put a hand behind his head, keeping his lips on hers. It was a few seconds, but Naruto just relaxed into it and sunk into the kiss and started pushing weakly back against her. They finally pulled back and Supergirl smiled, blushing a bit. Not bad. For my first kiss. Guess you had some practice. Naruto chuckled a bit. With girls who would beat me up for saying good morning beautiful to them. They always said I was a bad kisser too. Glad to see it was just their spite. Supergirl put her hand over his and held his hand in hers. I know I might have to share you, or you may pick your thief friend over me. But no, I admire you, and think you are really cool for being who you are and having so much in common with me. We both see the world in a way no one else does, and we both are good warriors as well as people. Naruto smiled at that. Whatever happens, know I will be cheering you on against any enemy coming your way. You're pretty strong, and pretty damn beautiful if I don't say so myself. Supergirl looked up to the sky. Kara. My name is Kara. Naruto smiled at that. He sighed but nodded. Naruto. But better keep it secret. I am supposed to be a no-name no-face thief here. After a minute, Naruto thought of something. You ever think a skirt is a bad idea? I mean, don't get me wrong, your costume is great. But anyone under you with good vision can see what kind of panties you are wearing. Supergirl looked at Naruto in a seductive but puzzled way. So you're saying you looked? Naruto shrugged weakly, smiling playfully. When it's a beautiful girl like you, how can I not? I do the same to Jinx sometimes, but the same principle applies. It's a skirt, it flaps up, I see under, I notice. Striped lace. Not a bad choice. Supergirl smiled seductively as she put Naruto's hand on her leg. Wanna see them again then? Naruto blinked a bit before looking at her. If you're willing to give me another look, but I might have to take them off you if that is the case. Supergirl blushed but smiled. You perv. Trying to see a girl's panties and take them off. Already trying to get my virginity, are you? Naruto looked surprised at that. You're kidding. A beautiful girl like you and no one has made a pass to get in bed with you. There's more crazy than I thought here. Supergirl giggled, sliding his hand up to her skirt. Well, there might have been, but none I considered worthy. You I feel would actually take care of me. Though I don't think it's a good idea to actually go for it, considering Superman might want to tear you limb from limb afterwards. Naruto looked around. He even watching. I would think he's keeping an eye on me. Supergirl shook her head, smiling a little seductively. Nope, he's off with the League, something about Japan getting hit by a giant monster lizard or something. So it's just me and you, and whatever we feel like doing. Naruto hummed a bit. He smirked wide and foxily, sliding his hand for himself under her skirt. Well, here's an idea. I take care of your needs, and after I satisfy you I leave the city. That way I don't have to fight anyone leaving, and you can have something to remember me by. Supergirl shuddered as he had said all that in a husky voice. She leaned in, whispering huskily and sexy in his ear. And how would you satisfy me? Naruto nipped at her ear, making her gasp. As her attention was unfocused, he slipped his hand into her panties and had them off with super speed, smirking. Well, we can test my silver tongue in a way other than blabbering on about what to do, and just do it. Supergirl hissed in pleasure, a heat enveloping her body like never before. She smirked and grabbed him, taking him over the wall. The roof ledge they were on was on the tallest building. It had a high wall to keep people from coming up here and diving of the edge from the wind. She laid him down and smirked, sliding her hair out of her face. Let's get that tongue of yours talking to another pair of lips. Naruto groaned as he flipped her on her back and sat up on his legs, lifting Supergirl's legs over his shoulders and diving between her legs under her skirt. As he looked up at her, her skirt flying up around her stomach, he smirked. Brace yourself. You may need to keep that voice of yours in check after I am done with you. XXX lemon warning. Skip to next bold if you don't wish to read. XXX. Before Supergirl could do anything, stop him for suddenly rethinking this, a retort in her own husky way, she gasped and arched her back, Naruto's tongue driving between her pussy lips and wiggling inside her, his teeth not felt at all as his lips suckled on her like a vice from a suction cup. Naruto wasn't one to mess around, but he knew how women enjoyed the foreplay and soft caresses during anything, so as he started rolling his tongue as deep as he could slide it inside the young Kryptonian woman before him, he rubbed her hips and sides under her lifted skirt, sliding his hands over her breasts as he kept sucking on her lower lips. Supergirl could only gasp and huff, moaning lowly as she rolled her hips up against Naruto's head, her thighs squeezing gently. She knew he was still human, so she had to keep her power in check. Naruto felt the squeezing and had a smooth idea, by using a jutsu to make his body as hard as steel, making his skin tougher and his muscles and bones able to withstand a huge amount of force, figuring it out thanks to the hidden rock village. As he used this, he suddenly started to squeeze Supergirl's breasts, rolling his tongue up against her harder, pressing against the innermost depths of her pussy. Supergirl could only writhe under him, her hands gripping something other than him, the roof crackling under her fingers trying to grip it. Her legs wrapped around Naruto's head, keeping him pressed against her. Oh, goodness. Naruto was smirking on the inside. He knew he had to bring the pressure, so he started pulsing chakra through his tongue and made his tongue wiggle around inside Supergirl like a vibrator, turning her insides into a sloppy mess. As he continued to grip and squeeze her breasts, rolling them around in his hands, she arched her back even further. Kara was having trouble thinking, her ability to keep her strength in check failing as the roof cracked, her fingers taking the concrete into rubble in her hands as she gasped and was at a loss of breath, her legs tightening in pleasure around Naruto's head. Don't stop. Don't you dare stop, you bastard. Naruto started tightening his lips around her clit, his tongue stopping him from making a complete trap around it, but he didn't stop sucking on her precious pearl, his hands sliding under her top and starting to tug and roll her nipples between his fingers, using chakra to jiggle her breasts under his tuff, making her writhe under him and gasp, starting to really moan under his attentions. Kara felt it coming, a huge tugging in her stomach warning her of her impending release. She moaned louder, taking rapid shallow breaths as she looked at Naruto in a husky glazed eye way. I'm gonna. Naruto felt it happen, her legs suddenly trying to snap his head into a pancake, her hands letting go of the roof and gripping his hair, tugging him against her. Thank God he knew how to make his body harder to keep her from killing him during this. Right as she came, her body shaking in pleasure and her mouth wide in a loud moaning release, he started tugging on her nipples, pinching them lightly as he gripped her breasts more, his chakra tingling against her skin as he pulsed his chakra through his tongue more, making his tongue vibrate against a small ridge inside her, what he was trying to find from the beginning, and pressed hard against it with his vibrating wiggling tongue, sucking as hard as he could on her clit as he put pressure on her pussy with his jaw. His teeth still safe under his lips and gums but still providing a biting pressure. Kara felt his energy shooting jolts of electric pleasure through her body, and his tongue suddenly hit something within her that made her eyes pop wide open. Her body shot up off the roof, her eyes glazed and her tongue flailing out of her mouth in a silent scream, her body shaking uncontrollably as gushes of clear liquid burst from her pussy, coating Naruto's face in her special juices. Naruto kept licking her secret pleasure spot, driving his tongue pulsing with chakra against it, licking it with rough hard licks as he gripped her breasts to keep her pulled against him, his feet and legs sticking him to the roof so she and him didn't fly off in her sudden sky-high orgasm. As she kept having an orgasm on him, her cum coating his body now, she wiggled in the air, her body shaking with amazing strength, quivering under his tongue. It lasted for a couple minutes before Naruto finally slowed his tongue's vibrations and steadily stopped licking inside her. As he stopped giving her the greatest orgasm she ever had or may ever have in her life, she started to weakly float back down. Kara soon found herself lying on her back on the roof again, her legs going limp on Naruto's shoulders as her arms flailed beside her in different directions. Naruto pulled away from her pussy, licking his lips as he smiled, gently laying her legs on the ground. XXX lemon and XXX. Naruto chuckled as he looked at a panting Supergirl before him, and laid beside her. Gonna remember me when I leave? Kara just dumbly nodded her head, blankly looking at him with glazed eyes. You are so going to be doing that again. Oh my goodness, what a rush. Naruto chuckled and just laid relaxed, letting his hardened skin jutsu fall. His skin was bruised from the squeezing, but he didn't mind. It was numb and slightly painful, and he had a wicked headache, but he had to admit, it felt good to give a girl that kind of happiness, and not get hit for it. Supergirl turned over and put an arm around him, closing her eyes. You have to leave before sunrise. Don't forget to visit every now and again, okay? Even if it's only as Naruto. Naruto smiled and put an arm around her. I'll try. Though you said it, you'll have to share me. Don't forget that. Kara looked him in the eyes, smirking sexily but tiredly. Oh, after this I think I don't mind sharing you for a while. As long as you keep me close. Naruto chuckled, nodding. I'll try. Still, I'm only human. With that, the two rested up, just enjoying the afterglow of a wonderful moment. XXX with Hinata XXX. It's been a year or two since the incident with Catwoman and the Ice Five, and Hinata Hyuga, the one who went her own way after the incident, was bowing to a man. He bowed back and smiled. You have completed your training. You have mastered the arts of every martial art in the world, and have done so with your own special unique powers. I feel a heart of gold within you, and know you will use these skills well. Even if my other student has taken a break from his training and has done well himself, I feel you will be the only one to use my training to spread peace of my teachings. Before you leave, tell me, what did you wish to use these teachings to do? Hinata rose her head and looked at the man before her, a lean athletic man with an orange beard and hair. I wanted to learn so I may wield the skills to fight the one I love, so that he may find true love. Even if it is not with me, Dragon Sensei. Dragon, aka Richard Dragon, bowed. Then go forth, and face him, for he will see the love of your skill and understand your wishes. Whatever you do, remember to never stray from the path of good. Hinata stood and smiled. Thank you. And I hope Grayson-kun will return for the final teachings you must give him. He has an even stronger heart than I, and an even greater sense of justice. I feel he will be your greatest student, and may surpass you one day. Richard Dragon smiled as he sat Indian style. I can only hope. And with that, he watched as Hinata Hyuga walked off, grabbing her bag as she let her family-crested jacket fly off in the wind. A sleeveless GI with the mark of the dragon on her chest showed her dedication to the arts Richard taught her.